debate for me, your man Louie T, here on CWall Wednesdays with our favorite Commanders beat reporter, Candi Waller. Candi, how is the new year treating you? Welcome and so glad to see you.
Well, Happy New Year, since I have to constantly be reminded that it is a new year. So Happy New Year. Hey, it's going all right. It's going
Yeah,
all right for me. I don't know
yeah.
about the collective, but it's going okay for me.
I love it. I love it. So Christmas was good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes. I mean,
yeah.
I was outside Christmas Day. I will have it. You have to stick a pin into this for later on. Maybe we can laugh about this about the Christmas Day game and my
Mhm.
Christmas game day outfit
Okay.
because it'll make sense. It makes sense at some point, but that was the highlight of the day, apparently.
Yes.
The game. But
You
Christmas
know
was
what? They were actually competitive that day. They weren't terrible that
it wasn't terrible. That's what
I
I
thought
said.
it was going to get out of control, and it looked like it at halftime, but they,
Listen,
they
I
reeled
was
them in.
doing my notes because that's what I remember. I told you all that's the type of time I was on. Like I'm at the game, I'm watching the game, but I'm making notes for next year. That's what I'm
Mm.
doing. And then I said, "Well, wait a minute, hold on. They might pull this off. Let me pay attention." And then they didn't.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
go back to doing what I
yeah,
was
yeah.
doing.
Reality set in, and you realized, okay, what am I talking about? It's the 2025 Commanders. They're not pulling anything off.
Exactly. So Christmas was good. I had family in town again, so that was nice. And then
Awesome.
just New Year's was kind of quiet.
Yeah.
That was quiet, but everything so far has been good.
Okay, good, good. I'm so glad to hear that
Mhm.
because everything doesn't seem to be good in Commanders land. And it was funny because I saw a tweet of yours the other day, and it's so fitting because it kind of encapsulates kind of where we are right now. And it was simple, and it just said everything was all good just a year ago. Everything was all good just a year ago. This time last year, we were preparing for a wild card weekend matchup with the
Mhm.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and all was right with the world. You fast forward to present day, and my God, today we are in a totally different spot. We've done a complete 180. There are rumors galore. We've got two coordinators out, an offensive line coach out. We've got searches being conducted. There is all kinds of conversations. There's a disconnect in the organization. Where do we begin, Candice? You now. I want to start by giving you. I want to give you your flowers, and you take your victory lap because I've been telling everybody the last 2 days. Candi, she sent off flares into the sky after the Atlanta game for Joe Witt. She said it ain't good and it ain't gonna work. Basically, after the Atlanta game, and we would have conversations down the road, and you would always circle back to the Atlanta game. Like I told y'all about Joe Witt after that Atlanta game, it was off. We got to the Minnesota game, and you say, I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm just telling y'all, Cliff, in this situation, it ain't.
Mm-mm.
She sent off more flares, couple
Mhm.
warning shots, and people like myself ignored them. I was like, ain't nothing gonna happen to Cliff. Cliff is safe. Ain't nobody coming to get him. And that's the only way he gonna end up out of here. Somebody come and get him. Ain't nobody coming to get him.
Mhm.
Lo and behold, here we are. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of speculation as to who did what, who was doing what, who's doing this, that, and the third. So just kind of bring us into the fold from your perspective on everything that has transpired really over the last 48 hours. We'll get to the actual press conference because I thought that was going to be the main topic of discussion, things that were said on Monday, but that has been trumped by Tuesday's activities and then all of the conversation surrounding the team today.
Yeah, I mean, the last 48 hours have been crazy. And like you said, let's just deal there. We're not going to deal with all the clues and stuff that led us to here because you summarized it perfectly. But in the last 48 hours, I mean, we knew what Joe Witt.
Yep, yep, yep.
I will tell you all, I saw Cliffy and I were able to just in his own way. And I was like, yeah, Cliff not. he gonna find something else to do.
Yeah.
And I've kind of even said it, like, I don't think they would fire Cliff. Like,
Mhm.
it's gonna have to be a mutually parting of ways. And I think I've even said it that way.
Mhm.
Be a mutually parting of ways. Because this just didn't work out. And Joe Witt was almost, I hate to say this, but it was like a no-brainer
Mhm.
that was gonna happen. But I think what has happened in the last 48 hours of conversations being had of just the evaluation, and I knew, because we talked about this, the run pass balance,
Mhm.
right? Where when things were working, it didn't continue, or I don't know, whatever the game plan was, whatever the situation was. And I also became aware more so in recent weeks about the conversations around Jaden's development,
Mhm.
which is critical. This is critical. You know, the evaluation of the injuries, how they happened, why they happened, what could have been done better. And scheme has something to do with that, because you got to take who he is as a man, who he is as a natural leader, how he plays the game, and you also have to take into consideration all of the pieces around him, and, you know, just schematically what's going to work, especially in this NFL that is ever evolving. And that there were some thoughts around, this isn't the best suited scheme for Jaden.
Mhm.
And then it goes back to having to look at all the things that went right in 2024. Jaden was so perfect, you may
Mhm.
as well say, right? I mean, nobody's perfect, but you get what I'm saying. Based on football terms, it was like he was perfect, right?
He made Cliff right so
So he
often.
made it right. And he also, you know, everything flew under the radar.
Mhm.
Everything, literally, such that when he wasn't there, everybody became a suspect.
Mhm.
Literally. And the injuries, of course, didn't help, because now they got to get into all of the just who he is, the scheme, the analytics behind injuries that happen to quarterbacks and all that. I mean, it's deep. It's
Mhm.
deep. And to your point about the press conference, Adam did talk a little bit about that, all of the things that are considered, including analytics. And so they said, you know, this marriage ain't gonna work. You know, they're gonna go a different route. I think they just had different philosophies. And you know, Cliff seemed like a reasonable person, right? Like he would. Oh, I'll pause me. You stop me there.
Let me, because you just hit on something, and me and you were talking before, and you asked the question, like, was he ever the right guy? And he being Cliff, and they knew who Cliff was when they got him.
Yeah.
They knew that Cliff is a guy that wants to throw the football. Cliff has always been this way. He doesn't get under center. One of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life as a fan watching football was when he was in Arizona, Cliff. Kyler Murray took a victory formation snap from shotgun. I had never seen that before. That's how often they were in shotgun and how little Cliff asked Kyler Murray to get under center.
Under center, right.
That they took a victory formation snap from shotgun. And they knew that this is who Cliff was at his core. So why was it somewhat of a surprise to them that this is what they got?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was, and I'm being honest, like, because that was, you know, as always, but it's like, were they, you know, from the coordinator perspective, were they ever the right fit? Because I've been hearing that, oh, they got to get this next thing right. Well, did they get it right? I don't think they've gotten it right yet. Like, that's the challenge here. And it's kind of like okay, because I will, again, transparency, I'm torn in a lot of ways. I'm torn in many ways. I understand the way that the NFL and just sports is overall right now, especially when you go from 12-5 and 5-12. Like, somebody's got to pay.
Right.
Somebody got to pay.
Right.
But it's still like, Did you have time to go through the rebuild or the recalibration? How do you build a system like this? Like, how do you build it? And that's the part that I'm wrestling with just as a practitioner. Like, it doesn't make sense. But it also goes back to, well, hey, if you didn't have the right people to begin with, and you had the blessing of a very healthy team, so everybody's pretty much at their peak all season. I mean, we literally saw a team that got better as the season went on. And I think that begs the answer. You didn't have the right people to begin with, unfortunately, which isn't good. Let me be clear.
Right.
That in no way gives anybody a pass. It's probably more of an indictment than anything, because did you really just say, we're just going to come together and we're going to throw it all at the wall and see what happens? Because that's kind of what it feels like it is, if that makes sense. Like I kind of think I know what the commander standard is. We're going to write it down on paper. We're going to all buy into it. And let's see what happens. And I'm going to always say that this year proved to me what I was afraid of in 2024. And it was, they were probably only about a 7 or 8 win team anyway. And they won those close games. Shout out to Jaden Daniels. And they just rolled the high. And some people kept playing along with the high, like the players and the coaches, and others didn't. Right? Because then talent, you really had to, you got smoked in the NFC Championship. So that's really what happened.
You had to squint to see the talent last year.
You had to squint.
I think we got something over there. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But by the time, and that's why I would always say, you heard me say, the Hail Mary game was the blessing and the curse. Because remember, I think you and I talked about it once we finally got to really know each other. And I said I had so many questions in that Hail Mary game. Because that Hail Mary game, I said that was probably one of the better games we saw from the Commanders' defense overall. But the offense was not good. Now, yes, Jaden was injured. He was injured, but that was also why I was concerned. Like, he's injured. That's when he had the rib injury. But what is this? That just nothing can move. Nothing can happen if he can't move.
Right. If he can't be him.
If he can't be him, this is down the tubes completely. The answer was right there in our faces, but the Hail Mary made us all act like it wasn't there.
Right.
And I go back and I listen to that press conference because people were still out cheering. I said, oh no, I'm following DQ to this press conference because I have questions. Congratulations. This is nice. All of this is nice. But, it didn't look like what we've been watching. And he's like, yeah, I know this isn't what we're used to, but no. And I'm a nice person. I'm kind, but I don't forget. And I knew it then. I said, nobody's going to remember. We saw these signs then. He wasn't the right person to begin with. Neither was Joe Witt. You get your boy.
Right.
You hooked your boy up. And that's what they do. That's what everybody does.
Oh, yeah. That's league wide.
Right. Yeah. But it's just like, but what happened was, but then I feel like what had happened was you went out and told everybody you were going to run it back. How? Okay. Because I believed it too. Let me be clear, everybody.
Yeah.
I believed it too. I was like, hey, I'm gonna just keep believing what they say until they tell me.
Until it doesn't, until it's proven that, right.
And I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna do it. And I remember saying, I sure hope nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Because at that point in time, I knew that everybody was just, and health is wealth. I get it, but that's probably the problem in all of this. You didn't have the right coordinators to begin with. And Jaden Daniels helped to mask all of it for everybody. And a lot of people are like, well, why is Dan Quinn still here? And well, hey, look, Coach Izzo's still here, and he should be. I think special teams got the memo. Now, the kicker, they got to figure that out. But special teams got the memo. And I think the culture piece they nailed. And that is important. That the culture piece is important. But that game, that schematic piece of it, it's been shot for a minute. It's been shot since they got here.
Do you so what do you say to the fans that believe they made a mistake in getting rid of Cliff? Cliff had a top 5 offense last year. This year, with all his pieces out, they sported a top 5 run game for the vast majority of the season. Somebody brought up a number that I just thought was crazy because context matters. I always tell people that. But I think they said that the Commanders scored 20 or more points in 11 of the 17 games. I said, but most of those games came early in the season when players were healthy. What happened when Jaden wasn't healthy, basically? I think 5 or 6 of those games happened in the first, I think 5 games happened in the first 6 weeks of the season when the team was relatively healthy. And then the games that you didn't score 20 or more, you got shut out in one of them, and 2 or 3 of them, you only scored 7 points. So what do you say to people that say this is year 3 of Jaden? Jaden wanted Cliff back. We saw Jaden's mom's tweet about year 3 of KK. It's going to be lit and all of this. And the reports that Jaden wasn't happy, or at least blindsided by this move. Some other players in the locker room who were big fans of Cliff, like Sam Cosmi, for instance, weren't happy with the decision. What do you say to people who think that this move was the wrong move to get rid of Cliff?
Yeah, here's what I'll say. I say that 2 things can be true, and that is you can be unhappy with it or be like, dang, because nobody wants to see people lose their job and still understand the business and still understand that record, based on it's everybody was supposed to be on the same page of what they were supposed to do this year. Then you have a roster, right? And I would hear, fans say, what happened to the run game? Where's C-Rod? Where's Ben Sinnott? Where's it? We talking just offense. Where's all these different things? And it's like, well, go ask Cliff. That's what we asking Cliff, because that was Cliff's decision. And maybe that's why he's not here. You know what I mean? I mean, because you heard me even share here. I didn't fit, and Cliff actually admitted it. Last week, I will give a shout out to Ben Standick. He asked Cliff a question, how he would evaluate his season. And when Cliff responded to that, I said, oh, Cliff, no, he gone. Like he's going to make a decision. He's going to say, okay, maybe this is not for me. Where he talked about where he knows that he could have schemed up things better. He knows he could have done a better job of maximizing players. And that's what I will say to fans. Nobody dislikes Cliff, right? I like Cliff a lot. And I know how much they think of him, but in a results-based business, going from 12-5 to 5-12 is just not good. And with Jaden, without Jaden, it didn't look good the entire season. I mean, can anybody really confidently and with just say, now that was a good game? Maybe week 5. That was it. Maybe
I think there was a stretch that was really impressive. Basically the end of the first half against the Chargers, week 5, to the rest of the game. Because remember, we started our game, it was 10-0, and we couldn't do anything on offense to start the game. Then the turnover happened, and then kind of, The Bears game, I thought, was a great game start to finish. It's just the 2 turnovers that bookended. The turnovers end up happening, right? That's player. Jaden threw the interception at the beginning, and then he had the fumble at the end. But everything in between that was awesome. That was Jaden's best game of the season.
Yep, that was it.
So
the Raiders game was fine. The Raiders game was fine.
Yeah, it's the Raiders, so you take it
exactly. And so it's just, I think when you say, when you talk about, and hey, listen, I'm not. This is difficult for me as well, but I try to stay objective and just use the data points because I use other teams. I mean, you look at the Indianapolis Colts that were 8-2 when Daniel Jones got hurt, and they didn't win another game without Daniel Jones. But when you talk about the Commanders, and based on what I know of them, I would be lying to everybody if I said, well, look, Cliff did all he could do. I didn't feel that way. Right? I always said that week 4, I talked about it. You called it right. Defense, Joe Witt in trouble. This is not going to work. Not based on who you say you are. This is not going to work. Schematically, I know that this is not working because I know the personnel over here and I know the personnel over there, and this is jacked. This ain't going to work. I told everybody week 7 when I asked Coach Quinn, did you consider calling plays? Everybody assumed I was talking about defense, and I had to clarify and say I kept it general because I was talking about all of it. That was a poorly called game by both, you know, and so I was like, they got to start getting the same heat and start getting the same smoke. Now, the challenge is, if you know your defense is lacking, and that was one of the things I was saying, you know your defense is lacking, everybody knows this, right? What are you doing to keep the offense out there? What are you doing to just control the time of possession?
Right.
And so the entire identity on offense just left. And I don't think it should have been that way. And so what I will say is the injuries absolutely 1000% were an issue. Was it a 5-12 issue? Clearly not. Right? This organization still feels like, and I do too, that they left like 3 games out there. Now, the Chicago game, I would say that's more player execution versus scheme.
Right.
You know, there were some mistakes that the Bears made them pay for and a missed field goal. So there's that. But I still say the Kansas City game got away from them, and Miami. That's 3. And they kind of could have came away with that Dallas game. They could have, you know what I mean? I felt on Christmas Day, to your point, Christmas Day.
And Denver too.
In Denver, absolutely. Denver, there was some early on. I remember the times I go back and look at my tweets and I'm like, how many times did I say, hey, everybody, wow, look, the defense is actually holding. They're not going to hold for long. You know, you don't have a 60-minute hold defense. You just don't have it. You've never had it. So you're going to have to put points on the board, and they didn't. At times they settled for field goals when those should have been touchdowns, or you end up turning the ball over on downs. It wasn't good. And that Minnesota game,
that's where it came to a head.
That was it, because you got everybody except for Austin Eckler and Luke McCaffrey, and you scored 0 points. That's unacceptable. I mean, even when I asked Cliff the question, he said, just doing this just doesn't happen in the NFL. No, it does not.
I thought another interesting, going back to the press conference you talked about when Ben asked him that question, Ben also asked him about his offense. Cliff got really defensive about his offense, basically saying the no huddle works. What I do works. I used it in Arizona. I've done it in college. I know it works. So I'm not changing anything. And I think that was also a problem for them, because I think they would like to get under center a little bit more with Jaden. And Cliff isn't, that's just not how his offense is built. That's not how he operates schematically.
It's not.
Philosophically, he doesn't believe in it.
That's just not. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I'm going to go back to something else that was a receipt. It was a clue early on. And I had to check myself, like, okay, Candi, it's just week 2. Okay. Like, it was a short week. Like, let me just lay off for everybody, right? Because now I got real questions. In Jaden's after game presser and in Zach Ertz's scrum, it's week 2, Green Bay. They both mentioned that the defense knew what they were doing. They were well prepared. They knew exactly what they were doing. And I was like,
it looked like it.
So these issues started week 2. And I said, we got a problem. The tape is out. The tape is out. The film is out. So you haven't changed? Like, you haven't changed? Like, you didn't know? That was my whole thing before I was going into my whole rants about you hunting, but now you the hunted. You didn't know that everybody was coming for Jaden? Of course, everybody loves Jaden. But during that 60 minutes, they're going to try to brutalize him. So you got to do what you can to protect him, right? And just be smart. Be smarter than the other team.
Yeah, that's a great point, because one of the things that was a chief complaint of Cliff when he got here was the cliff, so to speak. And what would happen is teams would make adjustments. They would see what Cliff was doing, make adjustments, and Cliff wouldn't make adjustments to the adjustment. And I think we saw a lot of that this year, that he never made the adjustments. And one of the things I think with Cliff's system overall, what a fatal flaw of it is the lack of motion, the lack of different formational looks, because Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, they run a lot of the same stuff. I'm not talking about the actual plays themselves. I'm talking about they run in their scheme a lot of the same concepts. They just run them out of different formations and looks. Yeah. They go in motion to get to the same look. It's out of a 3x1, and then they motion to a 2x2. It's the same play that they ran out of the 3x1. They just motion to a different look, or it started in 2x2, motion to 3x1, and it's the same concept, right? Out of a different formation, but it's the same concept. With Cliff, it just looks the same. There isn't any motion pre-snap. The only time you get Debo running in ghost motion, he might come back around or something like that, but it's not a lot of variance in his offense. And I used to complain. One of the things that was really frustrating when Terry first came back, and this was when you see things, it makes it so much more noticeable when it's absent or vice versa. So Terry hadn't been in the lineup for a while. He came back, if I'm not mistaken, against the Broncos. I think that was his first game back, right? The second time. And in that game, Terry moved all around the field. Terry was on the left. Terry's in the slot. Terry's on the right. And Terry was getting fed the football. And we was like, this is a foreign concept, especially in Cliff's offense, because in Cliff's offense, Terry just stays on the left side.
He's staying on the left side
that whole time. And I said, I wonder if they're going to, because it was coming off the bye, that Denver game. So I was like, I wonder if they did some self-scouting, and now they're going to move Terry around. And this is the thing. I'm going to be watching for this in the following game, the next week against Minnesota. And of course, Terry just stayed on the left side like he always does. He never moved around. The offense was stagnant, and it felt like they knew exactly what we were doing before we did it. And the rest is history. It was 31-0, and
it was bad.
That's the beginning of the end for Cliff here in Washington.
It was that game. And you got to also take, everyone has to take into consideration, this is December. People are playing their best football in December, even while injured. But at that point, you got everybody except for Austin and Luke. So there should be, I'm not saying they should have won the football game. But what I am saying is no points.
No excuse for that.
No excuse for that. And there's just nothing you can say to save a person. Job. You can't, performance is performance.
Right.
And it is just nothing you can say at that point. And at that point as well, there was a lot of work in recovery and rehabbing and all of that to get people back. Because at least if you weren't dealing with a situation where the coach didn't know that you could be eliminated that game, right, from the playoffs. And I know everybody's like, hey, listen, I was the one. They won 2 more games than I thought they would win, because I think I may have been honest on this show and said in Kansas City, I was sitting there with my arm, with my hands crossed just like this. And I said,
I don't know if they're going to win another game.
Yep, I sure did. I said, I don't.
Yeah, that was a real conversation. That was a real conversation.
They're not. That's it. I said that was the best half they could get out the defense. That's it. They ain't got no more. That's it. They're done. And everybody looking at me. You don't think that? So I was wrong because they won 2 more. Okay, fine. But you get what I'm saying? It was just like, what is going on here? And it just felt like offensively, whenever they got smacked in the mouth or a turnover happened, they just couldn't get back right. And I couldn't figure out what that was. And, it's I get it, because a lot of people do like Cliff. Nobody dislikes Cliff. But I just think that people can, I know Sam Cosby said, he took their advice. He did. He asked for their input. He took their advice. All those things. It's fantastic. But it's like, it didn't come to fruition on game day, though. And that's the big problem. And then again, I think what is something that is just flying under the radar, you all, is quarterback development. Yes, he is injured. Yes, he's got to, push through that adversity and get through that. But quarterback development, this is a huge year for Jaden Daniels. It is a huge year for Dan Quinn. It is a huge year for this regime, because this will be year 3 for their 2024 draft class. So this is where the evaluation really, really sticks. What do you have? You got to evaluate every year, but this is a big year. And if you feel like you're already seeing something that's like, hey, even when he was out there, you didn't see the level of comfortability and confidence consistently. It just felt, and it was just other little things that, it maybe wasn't little. Let me take that word out. There was a time in a press conference where Cliff was like, hey, it's Jaden's show, I'm just riding. And I'm like, that's not the right answer, Cliff. That's not.
Because that's really true.
I know, right. Like, we know what you're doing, but you probably shouldn't have said
that. Right. At any point, because we've seen all of the comments and the rumors and the things that have been said by NFL insiders about disconnect within the building. At any point, did you sense that there was a disconnect within the building between Adam Peters and Cliff Kingsbury, or Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, etc.?
I'm not Adam Peters. Like, that's one thing that I'm like, I don't, Adam has said publicly, like, hey, I have nothing to do with Dan. That's his staff. I don't have anything to do with that. If I'm here to support him, whatever you need, okay, fine. But like, hey, that ain't my bag. That's not my thing. I would say that there would be a disconnect, but I'm going to word it a different way, because I think I saw in one of the tweets it was talking about meddling, and I'm like, well, hell, I was meddling too, because I was like, well, I need to know what's going on, because this doesn't make sense. I'm watching Chris Rodriguez stand here on the sideline for like daggone near the whole half, and he had the high hand in the first half while he's not in the game. So is that considered meddling? Because if that is the case, Louie, I will say yes. People will ask a question, but is that meddling? In my experience and based on the context of what I'm aware of, no. That is not meddling. That is asking a question, because they go through evaluation. They want to understand, hey, what's going on here? Now, you've also heard me say that I felt like Dan Quinn gave too much autonomy.
Isn't that what you want your coach to do, though?
Exactly. So that's why I'm like, well, when did somebody start meddling? Because I know for a fact, I wish he would meddle some more. I wish somebody would say something. That's why it was you in the headset. Oh, well, I give suggestions, and I hear.
Yeah. I remember you said that the last time. You was like, well, is somebody saying something in the headset?
Anybody saying something? Anybody saying anything?
Right.
So this goes against what I know from being on the ground and being able to ask these questions. Like, I'm the one, I wish somebody would say something. Please meddle. And it's not that, right? It's a question, or it is a suggestion. And if it's being twisted to meddling, and it's like, how is that meddling? Right. But somebody's asking a question, and quite frankly, it's the same questions we see from the fan base all the time. Right. What happened to the run game? What happened to this? What happened? It's the same things, you guys. So that's not considered that. And that's not Adam Peters' lane. Like, I'm going to say it out loud. It's not. And he said it in the press conference, but people got a right to ask a question. The head coach, let me be clear. Dan Quinn has the right to ask that question of his coordinator, right? Adam, I think it might be, I don't know. It's just, when you have the context of wanting to know the run-pass balance, that's a fair question between the head coach and the coordinator. If you want to understand and know why certain players spent more time on the sidelines, that's in game. We've heard that come up plenty of times, even when I've come on here. That's a fair question between the head coach and the coordinator. that's as far as that goes. Not Adam Peters, and you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's these are typical normal questions. And when they are when a team is being staffed, I mean, we know just from knowing football in any sport fundamentals that there's going to be a bit of a dip from your starter to your backup to your third string. We get that. We know that. But when we're literally not seeing players utilized at all, the head coach can ask the coordinator about that. Right. And they can also discuss, hey, controlling the time of possession was something that they were golden at in 2024. Right? Again, they had the personnel, everybody was healthy, got it, but it was like that principle went completely out the door. That fundamental went completely out the door for some reason this year. And that's because at critical moments they went away from the run game.
Right.
The coach can ask that. And it's not listen, everybody's not going to be roses and rainbows when somebody decides to leave or mutually depart ways, or we got two philosophies and this is not going to work. Because and I did ask this question in a press conference, on a Monday press conference to Dan Quinn about, okay, with all these injuries, what is the conversation with Cliff like? I specifically asked about Cliff because I knew what was happening because I'm there and I talked to people, but I've never taken it to be like somebody is beefing. Let's just keep it a buck. All right. Ain't nobody beefing. People got different philosophies. Nobody's arguing. It's not a whole bunch of it's not that, you guys. I wanted it to be. I was like, please, somebody say something. So everybody's quiet in the headset. What are you doing?
Right.
So that's why I'm like, okay. But hey, when people, I think this is me speculating this part. I'm pretty sure somebody's representation or somebody said, oh, it's a mess over there. Well, yeah, they're 5-12 after a 12-5 season, but it's not the kind of mess that you're talking about. Like, you just watched the football game and you can already know that there was no balance between the run and the pass. I mean, come on, man. We can look at the snap count. We can look and the data will tell us that, but it's not what it was. It was.
Not. Yeah. And the thing about Jordan Schultz, and I'm going to just bring it up.
Yeah, you go ahead and bring it up.
I'm gonna bring it up. Yeah, let me be the bad guy. I can do it.
Because he the one who slapped Ian Rappaport. We were
right, Mr. Starbucks.
Like,
that's what we call him around.
Y'all gonna have me up in that Starbucks in Indy, like, like no, because I don't want a problem.
Yeah, no, Mr. Starbucks. We're gonna talk about Mr. Starbucks because he had all of the Terry stuff, and we know where he got that from. He got it from the agent, right?
Yep.
And so this is not different from that. You know, you get a scorned coach who's, upset about how things ended at his previous locale. He's out of here. And I think that's who's giving him his information again. And I keep trying to tell the fan base, because this is the thing. I've said this, our fan base is still suffering. We're a recovering fan base from PTSD. This year was triggering. Because we wanted to let it go. We wanted to free ourselves from the shackles of the Dan Snyder regime. And 2024 helped us get to a point where we felt comfortable letting that baggage go. They just needed to do it again to show us that it wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't. They did the thing that a lot of us expected. Well, not a lot of us, because I didn't. A lot of people expected them to do, which was go back to being a pumpkin. And so now that PTSD comes back with a vengeance, and then you add in this kind of stuff, and our fan base is already not feeling comfortable or uneasy with everything, and then you add this in. And so I keep telling them Jordan Schultz doesn't have a leak in the building, because there is no leak. This ain't the old regime where you got loose lips inside those walls. He's getting information from people outside of the building. And so you can't take, because he's sensationalizing what he's saying. There is truth in what he's saying. So it's enough truth so you can't call me a liar. Right. But I sensationalize it to give it a little bit of salaciousness so you click. So it's extra, right?
Right.
And so I keep telling the fan base, it ain't no beef inside that building.
No.
It ain't none of that, because don't nobody have no sources in there.
No.
Right? So it's the same like it was before. It's just that now, because I remember when they first got here, it was like, did they get everybody to sign NDAs? Don't nobody know nothing outside that building.
You just got people you got people who understand loose lips sink ships. Period.
Yes. And so when they first, like these first 2 years, it was like, I always go back to, we didn't find out Michael Davis was signed until he was actually doing a press conference with y'all over Zoom. And that's how we found out Michael Davis was a Commander. We're like, wait, what? No Ian Rappaport, no Adam Schefter, no James Palmer, none of that. Nobody had no scoop because they weren't saying nothing. And so I don't think that has changed. You just get somebody that's outside the building who maybe their client used to be in the building and has a perspective. It ain't both sides of the perspective. It's his perspective. They were meddling, and so they use this aggressive language. And so it's frustrating.
I wish somebody would have meddled sooner. Okay, that's how you know it's not true.
I wish they would have.
I was hoping I would ask enough questions, and somebody was like, you know what, maybe I should go down there and ask Cliff. Yes, you should. You should, but no. And you've heard me say so many times that, you know, I was just, you know, Dan Quinn is kind, he is caring. And I just felt like all the autonomy he gives, I know I said it here on a show where I was like, I'm not certain if he should give that much autonomy. Like, how much is too much? Like, when are you going to say something? And that's just the thing. Like, nobody was, not to my standards, I would think, nobody was saying enough.
Yeah.
Because giving a suggestion is very different than giving a directive. Right?
Absolutely.
Even in meddling, like you just said, that's semantics. Did they meddle, or were they just asking a question? Hey, I noticed you're not really using it. I mean, they do have analytics. They have analytics guys. So are they meddling, or are they telling you based on the analytics what they see? That's the purpose of the analytics team. It's not that.
Yeah. So the question now I ask, because we get the Cliff situation. We get the Joe Witt Jr. situation. Although I will be honest, I thought that they, like, because we had conversations before, and you said, man, I don't know, DQ is so loyal. I don't know, right? And I just thought Joe is his boy. I mean, it took a damn near mutiny for him to get him out of the defensive play calling seat. They tried everything. We're gonna bring him down to the field. Bring him to the field for what? What is that gonna change? You done gave us every reason why up in the box is better than down on the sidelines. What is him being on the sidelines gonna do? He didn't force Detroit to punt once in that game. Get him out of here, right? So in my mind, I'm like, that's his boy. Even after stripping him of the title or the play calling responsibilities, he was still the defensive coordinator. They didn't fire him. They could have, right then and there. He didn't fire him. And he still let Joe have input on putting together the defensive game plans on a weekly basis. At least that's what he told us, right? So I thought maybe they're just going to reassign Joe, maybe because he's been a defensive backs coach pretty much his entire career. Maybe get rid of Tommy Donatel, insert him there, or make him an assistant along with William Gay, and he'll be a part of the defensive backs room now, right? Work with his boy Jason Simmons to help with the pass game defensive coordinating and things of that nature. I was shocked that they just got rid of Joe Witt outright. That did catch me off guard. I'm going to be honest. I thought they would reassign him because that's DQ's boy. But the thing that caught my attention, like you got my attention, was O-line Bobby Johnson.
Wait a minute. That's flying under the radar. I said, listen, I don't know. I mean, and I say this in love. I do. I try to, even though it don't seem like this. After that scoreless Minnesota game, I have no idea why anybody's upset about Cliff leaving. I'm being honest.
Yeah. Continuity. I think continuity.
But it's
like year 3 of Jaden. Now you're giving him a brand new guy that he's got to learn a new offense.
I was more upset about Coach Pritchard leaving.
Yeah. I think DQ was too.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, I almost turned my car around in the middle of the street. I was down the street from Ashburn from the facility, and I got the text. Oh wait, I just saw Coach Pritchard. Oh wait, did you know Coach Pritchard got the job at Stanford? What? He what? Okay, and great. Tell them no. All right, what are we doing? What do you mean he's taking it? Oh, I got to get out of the middle of the street. Oh, right. Okay. It's like, I had to pull over. Like, what is this? And it is bad. Because remember, I had the joke. I think I told it here just last year. It was all good a year ago. Saw Cliff in the hallway. Was like, hey, let me get your phone.
Right.
He's like, what? It was like, I'm taking all of your calls. Tell your agent he can rest. I'll take those.
Right.
Because where you going?
You ain't going nowhere. Right.
You ain't going nowhere. And yeah, it was all good a year ago. It ain't now. So I'm laughing now because I was so serious with him that day.
You were, and it made so much sense then. And then he fast forward to now, and it's like, really?
I was trying to come up with reasons to save him. Oh, I did a whole injury impact. I have an injury. One day we'll discuss it. I did a whole injury impact analysis. You could use it for different teams. That wasn't going to help. It wasn't going to help. But at any rate, I don't even remember what you asked me now because now I got stressed out.
I brought up the fact that O-line Bobby Johnson
that is flying really low under the radar. And I'm like, is anybody going to address what happened unless he's, and it wasn't a mutually parting of ways. He got fired. Yeah. And so I'm like,
it's not like the offensive line was bad either of the first two seasons here.
I don't know.
We actually gave him credit the first year because it was that first year he dealt with a lot of injuries and moving parts. And yeah, the offensive line had a little stretch there towards the end with all those injuries and the run game suffered and this, that, and the third. But that was never a great offensive line to begin with. So
I mean, I was, I'm coming up with all kinds of stuff in my head. I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's gonna go, he's gonna stick with Cliff. Maybe they built that bond. I'm like, or maybe it was, what happened with Brandon. Maybe, but if you got outperformed, you got outperformed. Like that ain't Coach Johnson ish. That ain't his problem. It's not like the O-line as a unit didn't perform, And then the only other thing that I could think of, and I was like, oh, is if they really are considering bringing Brian Daboll here.
Right, because he fired him in New York.
Yeah,
that
was it. I don't know, but that's just simply I don't know. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah, that one blindsided everyone.
That was a blindside. If anybody wanted to be blindsided, I could see them being blindsided over that.
Yeah.
Not Cliff. So that could have been something else that got a little mixed up. Just saying. But
yeah. I think the easy connecting the dots thing is Brian Daboll, right?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, do you think them parting ways with Cliff, they had a plan already in place?
Oh,
they didn't just move. Like they didn't just fly off the handle and, we're just kind of being, reactionary. They had a plan already moving on from Cliff. I felt like the Bobby Johnson firing said, oh, we got a plan. Because that wasn't necessary. It didn't feel like it unless you're bringing in an offensive coordinator that may have a different philosophical belief up front for the offensive line that's going to require a different set of blocking schemes that Johnson isn't familiar with. So let's just go ahead and get him out of here now so we can make space for the guy that's going to come in here and be our new coordinator.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, wait, oh, what? Bobby Johnson now. It's a couple of position coaches that,
We after Bobby got fired, we were waiting for the rest of the dudes to get fired. Like if they gonna fire him,
we
like
see.
Wait, who was
saying they might go other places. They might go other places. We'll see what happens. We'll see. But and some of it just might be remains to be seen because too much stuff was getting out. I mean, it's just too much.
Right. Because the David Blau thing happened yesterday as well, right? Like he's getting an OC.
They're not blocking anybody. Remember last year he got blocked. They're not
right. Well, they can't block him for an OC because last year somebody was trying to take him to be their quarterback's coach. They could block that.
Yeah, he can't.
The lateral move. they're not giving him the OC job, so
Mhm.
they can't block him from taking the interview to become a
Yeah. And so I'm not. I'm. I, all I know is Brian Dabo adores Jaden, and everybody knows that is well documented.
Right.
And I know that also from in-person interactions, but he adores Jaden. I'm just so whatever. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And that's all I keep saying. And I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
It feels like the only two guys, well, three guys I'll say that are safe are Larry Izzo, who's done a phenomenal job.
Oh yeah.
His first 2 years here. Bobby Ingram and Tavita Pritchard were the only guys safe, because that's the only guys that DQ ever talks about. You know, he talked about not knowing Tavita Pritchard or Bobby Ingram when he got here, and how he's loved working with both of them. We saw the send away they had for Tavita, right? They don't do that for everybody that gets an opportunity. They genuinely loved him in that building and hated losing Tavita Pritchard. I love Tavita Pritchard. You know, I don't know how good of a play caller he was going to be, or even how good of a head coach he's going to be, but he seemed like he had rock star qualities, right?
Facts.
And so I know DQ loved him, and DQ loves Bobby Ingram. It feels like everybody else is just like, we'll see what happens.
Right. If you like to stay, sure. If not, sure.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
Whatever you like. Yeah. And you know what? With all of the injuries to the wide receiver group, wow, what a job by Bobby Ingram. Okay. I do give a lot of credit to Coach Anthony Lynn for his running back room, and getting them ready for the game. I think he's done a tremendous job with the running back in the run game coordination when they use, the run game. That was a little shade right there.
Right.
But I think Bobby Ingram, yes, to your point, he doesn't say much. He doesn't say much about too many other people, because it could be, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I keep saying it because this year just wasn't good. And things like this happen when things are good. I also say, what if it's like the catch-22, because what if they didn't make any changes and said, you know what, you guys, we just gonna hope for better health next year.
Right.
But we staying together. We all staying together. Everybody would have had a meltdown. Like, you're gonna do what?
Right.
So
yeah, like it's crazy, because somebody on my channel, shout out to my guy, I think it was Kevin in PRF, who said everybody wanted change, and then change happened and they started freaking out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Like, so maybe it was the change it was changes that they didn't want, or there were changes that they thought should happen. Like, okay, you getting rid of these dudes, why don't you just get rid of DQ too and start all over, because he's not the guy for the job.
Right.
I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, some big questions. The first of which is, what do you have the sense of who they're going to hire? Like, I know you don't know who they're going to hire, but what do you get the sense that they're going to try and do? Do you think this is going to be a fast, quick process? We're going to have a hire here over the next week, or you think they're going to kind of explore all options, kind of drag this out? Because I brought up the fact that when they hired DQ, we were the last team to hire our head coach. We were the last team to hire our offensive coordinator when we got Cliff Kingsbury. So that was the last time that this group had to go out and hire staff members, and we took a very long time to do it. Do you think that that's going to transpire? Are they going to like leave no stone unturned, or do they already have a plan? And then an extra question is the defensive side. DQ said on Monday, it doesn't matter what happens, I'm going to have my hand in the defense regardless. So doesn't that feel like, or I should ask you this, does it feel like that means it's going to be somebody he knows that is going to allow him to work closely? Because if you bring in like a Jim Schwartz, this is my defense. I got it. I don't need you telling me what to do. Very infrequently, very rarely do you see a guy like a Jim Schwartz, for instance, a veteran grizzled defensive coordinator be paired with a defensive-minded head coach. Usually that's an offensive head coach who doesn't care about the defense. Hey, you got it. I'm hiring you so you can run your defense, and I got the offense. I don't think we see DQ doing that. Like Patrick Graham, I don't think that moves the needle. Obviously, that's just one interview, but what's your take on all of that?
Well, from offense, again, it's schematically, and just the quarterback development piece is going to be huge. And just schematically, I'm just not. It's got to be somebody who can pivot and adjust in game when players are getting hurt, when people dropping like fly, when things are happening all around you. And even when the defense is evolving, right? It's got to be somebody that can go and change it up, be on the same page with your players, with maximizing your players. Now, I will say Cliff did not, I mean, because he said it publicly, I'm okay with saying it publicly. He did not do that well at all.
No.
He did not, you all. He didn't. Okay, in terms of maximizing the players and the opportunities and just sometimes doing what was the common sense thing and what the moment needed. He didn't do that well. So it has to be someone who can also, and I don't know if that was like a freak out thing, like maybe it was a defense mechanism or something. I don't know. Because sometimes he was really great at it. Other times he wasn't. Now, it's going to be interesting, right? Because, okay, Coach Pritchard is gone. Coach Blau could potentially get something else. What is going to happen with Brian Johnson, right? Who is the assistant head coach? He stepped in and was helping a lot on offense here recently. His name was even mentioned with some of the cooler plays and everything. So that remains to be seen as well. And I would keep his name in the rotation because I just would, as well as Coach Blau. But development and just overall scheme that's aligned with DQ and what he believes the philosophy should be to win football games, or at least to be competitive, is really going to be key. Now, on defense, what I'm learning overall, and this applies to offense as well, the defense has got to mirror. Now, when, you know, at some point when there's more opportunity to be more reflective, whether it be on or off the record, I got to go down a rabbit hole with DQ on this autonomy thing, because it's a thing for me. It really is. Because when I watch other teams, not saying he has to be like other teams, but a Mike McDonald head coach, they're going to look like, their defense is going to look like a defensive-minded coach, you know, somebody that was a D coordinator, coaches that team. Right. Same thing with Kyle Shanahan. He never takes his hand off the offense. He just doesn't. Sean McVay, he just doesn't. Liam Cohen, he just doesn't. D'Amico, whatever their specialty is, these head coaches are still very much engaged, if not calling the plays.
Right.
That's what they do. So that I think maybe he's learned and realized he can't just be the CEO. It just is what it is. You can't just be like the CEO. You know what I mean? He's not a CEO, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. You can't just be, you just can't oversee the whole thing.
One of the things that I've also been thinking about is really your coach, your head coach sets the culture, establishes the culture, establishes this is the vision, this is the identity. But it is your coordinators, it's really them that's got to be on goon status. I mean, they can take the identity of Jaden and Terry. They can take the identity of Revo on special teams and Zach, and they can take the identity of Bobby Wagner on defense. But it's really your players should embody it. But your coordinators have to approach the game in a way of what the vision and the identity is. Dan Quinn has to stand 10 toes down on what that identity is, and he has to get coordinators that align with that, right? Not because you're making them. That's because that's how they build.
Right.
And then you got to go and get players that align with that. Don't bring them here and start trying to teach them how to tackle. It's too late. Okay, don't bring them here and then try to figure out how to get a takeaway. They too busy trying to swat the ball away and they're missing tackles. No, it's not. That's not working.
You sound like you tired of hearing about the fundamentals of tackling like we are. Oh, they just got to take another step. Oh, okay, DQ. All right, cool.
Well, I had to ask, and I'm sure because you listen to all the press conferences that I'm like, well, because of the takeaway culture, do you think that is that them trying to knock the ball out?
And he was quick to nope, it's not that.
Exactly.
Nope, it's not that.
And I'm like, I didn't you know me, Louie. I'm like, I didn't think it was.
Right. I was just giving you a chance to see what you was gonna say.
Because I know it's not.
Right. We all know it ain't. Right.
I'm just trying to use my clues and trying to go down the list because I'm like,
help us understand what the hell is going on here.
And you know what I mean? Like, what is going on? And so that's how I feel. So he's gonna have to have a hand in it, but was Cliff really like when I say a Dan Quinn guy? I mean, you can't be all laissez-faire and all relaxed on game day. No, you got to be in goon mode. Kyle Shanahan is in goon mode when he's playing with offense. Oh my God, the Bears game, Ben Johnson, goon mode. They're head coaches, but I'm talking about their approach to coordinating, the play calling. Right, Sean McVay the same way. You're not going to outsmart them. I'm just going to keep and put this one in and do this and do that. They're going to try it all and they're going to be ready for you. And Cliff just didn't do that. Joe Witt just didn't do that. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. It's going to be the same thing. You're not even going to try nothing different. Yeah. And Coach Quinn has to be that same energy that he embodies. Your coordinators, they are like the people on the ground level. You got to be goons. Now, I mean, if I could do it, I would, but I can't. And they get on my nerves. I cuss way too much for that kind of stuff. And so, like, no, I couldn't do that. But there's somebody out there that could. I'm joking, but it's joking. I'm like, man.
I'm gonna tell you what. Last thing on Cliff. Because you just brought up a point that I've been making to the fan base for a while, which is you can't have a coach whose side of the football isn't good, right? Like if that's who you are, if that's the side of the football that you got the job based off of your prowess at, the team has to be good on that side of the ball at a bare minimum.
Right.
But to your point, and this is what we've been talking about. We want guys that are nerds. We call them nerds, football nerds, and that's not a derogatory term. Like they junkies, they football junkies. They eat, sleep, and breathe football. They don't care about and we're not telling people not to have lives outside of football, but Sean McVay, he locked in. When it's football season, he's locked in, and all he talks about, all he does is football. Like same thing with Kyle Shanahan, same thing with Liam Cohen, same thing with Ben Johnson, and like. Cliff is just like, remember you was like, hey, I know the best places to go get wine. And like, Cliff is just like, it's other things that feel like they're at work. Like Sean McVay is a cool dude and he does all of the extra stuff, like around the draft and stuff, like having the draft at, at a rental property or whatever. And it's all cool. Like, it's just, Cliff lacks that, and we see that in certain players where they lack that dog, right? We talk about it with Commanders players, like they don't force turnovers, they lack that gene, that ability to go hunt the football because they're not like that. Cliff, it feels like he's missing that component of I'm gonna do whatever it takes to out scheme you this week and put together the best product that I can. And like I remember this thing really drove me nuts. When we were playing right before we played Minnesota, and then it made it worse because of the outcome of the game. But he said the week leading up to the game against Minnesota, I'm not even going to bother trying to out scheme Brian Flores.
You sure did?
Because he's so multiple and he changes up his looks every week. I'm just going to try to do the best to put us in position to execute what we do best. I'm like, wait, what?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
He said, that's what I'm trying to tell. Listen, you listen to the press conferences And that's one of the things I tell you, like, you've got to go and listen to these press conferences, because if you listen to the press conferences, you see the outcome of the game, you will not feel as bad about Cliff not being here. No, nobody's gonna feel bad about Joe Witt, but you definitely won't feel as bad about Cliff if you are listening to, because he absolutely said that. And I remember I'm right. Where's my notebook? Who knows? Well, it's in my bag right here. I was like, oh, so because sometimes I write in my notebook what I would say out loud if I was talking to a person, and I was like, oh, so you're just gonna quit? Like, you're just not even gonna try?
Wait, what? I remember it's rare that I actually like make up my face expressions and I say something out loud, because it's just me sitting here listening to the press conference, and I take my little notes or whatever and of things that I think are pertinent. And I remember when I said, I'm writing, I said, what? You ain't gonna try to out scheme him this week.
We're just gonna do what we do best. He didn't even do that. He didn't even do that.
Clearly. I said, oh, hell no. I remember talking about it on the show that night saying, did y'all hear this shit? This is insanity. And then to go out and the product look like you didn't prepare for Brian Flores. It reminded me of Eric Bieniemy going up against Wink Martindale in 2023 when he acted as if he didn't know Wink was going to blitz, and that's all that Wink did. He acted like he had never seen a blitz before. And we scored 7. What did we score? 7 whole points, I believe, in that game. 7 points. I think we lost 13-7 or something like that. Like, it was incredible to see how inept we were against the Vikings on offense.
Yeah, I mean, the fight in the arriving violently and finishing violently, that's not just for the players. You know, you've heard me say, we talk about this all the time. Yeah, a lot of times the real battle is going on the sidelines, and they got smoked. They got beat. Y'all was getting out schemed all season long. You got out schemed, you got outplayed. If the players are out there trying to execute something that they already know that the opponent knows that they're going to do, you're already defeated, whether you realize it or not. You're already defeated mentally, whether you even know that. Because you're like,
and to your point, to go back to that Green Bay game, now that you brought it up, you just jogged my memory. I remember Marshawn Lattimore saying they knew we was playing man. They just kept playing, doing man beaters. Like, and you could see it. That's why they was doing all that motion that night. Every time y'all gonna keep running in motion with us as we send somebody across the formation. Okay, we got something for that.
Yeah.
So we got out coached and out schemed the whole
season. The whole entire season.
So we know this is a big offseason. We were saying this before any of this stuff transpired. This is a massive offseason for Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. My question to Candi is this: how hot is Dan Quinn's seat? Is it not hot at all? Is it lukewarm? Is it warm? Is it hot, or is it really hot going into 2026?
I'm going to assume it's really hot, but I don't think it's hot from an ownership perspective. Does that make sense? Like, I think he and Adam, I think it's hot. Right? You fired both of your coordinators. You have basically said there is no room for error, including my own. And he might be owning his first major error, and that was bringing them on as the coordinators
in the first place.
Because they weren't it. They weren't.
So if they go 9-8 next year, barely missed the playoffs. They've been in the playoff. This wasn't
I think he can make it if they. I think.
So, okay. All right.
I don't know though. Let me stop. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Because that was my point to people. Because a lot of people feel the way you do about his seat being hot. I don't personally. I don't think his seat is hot.
I mean, who's that? Josh Harris is a patient man. And I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm still torn about this abruptness in just firing people, unless you know this wasn't right to begin with. I picked the wrong people. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Unless it's a situation like that, like, hey, this ain't work. I made a mistake. I didn't do it. I didn't. And hey, look. he might even be much more clear now on what this is going to require.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I will always, and I believe I shared this with you, I said in Combine last year, you may have heard it on the press conference. He said, we know something that we didn't know last year. We know now what a commander is.
Yeah,
Did you really? I think they really know now.
Yeah.
But you got to get people to align with that. And it starts with your coordinators. I think he admitted his first mistake, and that was he brought in the wrong coordinators for what absolutely needs to be done for long-term success.
Yeah.
Because they weren't right. It wasn't a good fit. I know that a lot of the deficiencies from the entire team, Jaden Daniels will forever be the one who hit all of that, whether he knows it or not, whether he believes that or not. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my opinion. But like he was remarkable in so many different ways, that his energy, then you add in Terry and then everything else, it was perfect. They should have just won the daggone Super Bowl last year, for real.
Right.
It really should have just done it.
It would have bought everybody some time. I don't know if it would have been worse this year. I mean, you still would have been okay had you won the Super Bowl, even if you turn around and go 5-12 the next year. You would have been pissed about it, but we still won the Super Bowl last year, you know. So
Super Bowl.
Right.
Right. Still won the Super Bowl.
I don't know. People might have been even more pissed off if you win the Super Bowl. Than go 5.
But at least you won. At least you won.
You got a Super Bowl now.
Like, at least you
ain't really tripping. Right.
At least won the conference championship. At least been the NFC champion. Something. Have a trophy somewhere in the building. That's recent. And it was because this was bad. And I mean, I found myself every week. I think I probably, I told you, I said, hey, after Minnesota, I said, well, I know I'm looking forward next year. I can't save them, and it was so fun. I don't know if I told you this story, because, I go to team arrivals, and you normally always kind of gauge the kind of day Cliff was going to have based on how he was dressed. He dressed nice or whatever. But that day, it was like, okay, I think they go pull this off, because
this is before Minnesota?
Before the Minnesota game, because I walked in and everything, and Cliff saw me, and he was like, nice. I like this. I said, oh, you in your bag today. You already gave me a compliment. That's what's up. Yeah. And he didn't score no points. Maybe it was my fault. I'm superstitious. So it was like, it was my fault. And he talked to the man. We're rivals. Here we go. And it's just sad. You know what I mean? It's like when you see people so much, you build relationships with them, and it's right. It's nice, and you want to see them do well. But I honestly think it was deeper than just, the 5. I think he just realized he didn't have the right people.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because, to your point, and I think we've said this as a fan base, he's got to make the right decisions this offseason, or it could be the last decisions he make.
Man, and I said this to you earlier. I'll say it out here publicly. I'm like, this is where I get so, like, the NFL is just, this is a wild space right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody's firing everybody, then people just go get hired by other teams. It's like recycling the same thing. And it's just like, but so I'm still, and I'm collecting all the data. I really am, of thinking who it would be. But it's difficult to figure this out in this environment right now. It's just hard, because I'm like, I mean, you could go pick anybody up from, one of these teams in the playoffs right now, but you just don't know what it's going to get you. You really don't. You really, but it has to be great. But it's like, I don't know. And I think John, the Ravens firing John Harbaugh, that just sent the whole carousel. They just turned the carousel upside down.
Upside down. Yeah, it did. Because my buddy's a Raiders fan, and he was like, "This is terrible." Because now, because he's like, I want somebody to want my job, and if John Harbaugh's out here, it's just pushing me further down the Ravens job is, pushing him further down the pecking order, because the Ravens that goes to the top of the list of jobs that are available. And the rumor, I don't know if you've heard this or not, and you're going to hear all kinds of stuff this time of the year, but And I always tell people, believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, even if it's spat by me, your man Louie T. So it's that time of the year now. But the Ravens are going to target a guy like Jesse Minter to be their head coach, and they're going to bring Cliff Kingsbury in to be their offensive coordinator.
And I posted something yesterday about that. With not about Jesse. He's phenomenal. But
I wouldn't do it if I were you, Baltimore. Just saying.
Hell no. I mean,
not if you want Derrick Henry to keep running and being a good part of your football team.
Well, here's the whole thing. I reposted it. Maybe like yesterday, so y'all can see on X at CWall SE. I reposted it from when we were all in Arizona last year. And I reposted it from my colleague with Bowie TV that covers the Ravens Caritas page because we got it down in Arizona, but I sent it to her because Cliff was talking about how when he took a year off, he studied a lot of what Todd Monken did when he went from college back to the Ravens. And he spent some time with Todd Monken. So my thing was, and I reposted it because of the report about Cliff Kingsbury, and I'm like, listen, if one of the boiled over issues was that John Harbaugh almost calling his brother name. John Harbaugh wouldn't.
I always do it, so don't feel bad.
Right. If he wouldn't
Jim all the time.
Jim, right. And he wouldn't get rid of Todd.
Right.
And this is one of the issues that boiled over. Well, then my goodness, what are you going to do with Cliff?
Right.
Why would you want Cliff Kingsbury if you don't want Todd Monken? That's all I'm saying. I'm not, just that if you didn't want this one, why would you want that one?
Facts. When I heard it, I was like,
makes no sense.
So you basically fired a borderline Hall of Fame coach because he didn't want to get rid of his offensive coordinator to go hire the same kind of guy.
Like that doesn't even make any sense. And that's what I just, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. And, I think Cliff would be excellent in college.
That's probably where he belongs. Look,
I think his scheme, the way he is, the way he communicates, how he is, I think it is excellent for college. I think he does do some things well, even from a development perspective.
Yeah.
But when you talk long-term development, that's where it becomes a challenge.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point because he touched a lot of these quarterbacks that ended up being really good in the pros. Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. I'm forgetting one more that he coached in college, but he didn't turn out to be really good in the pros. But Johnny Manziel, and he does a really good job in that short space, right? That 2 to 3 year window, maybe 4, depending on how long the quarterback. But like you said, for long-term development, like he's good to get them prepared to go to the next level.
Yep.
But I don't think he's a guy that is detailed enough to have them take that next step. And that's where that development of Jaden comes into play because that first year, Jaden, the thing that they really wanted to do was they wanted to ease him in. And Cliff basically having a college style offense allowed Jaden to come in and it be an easy transition, a seamless transition. Right. Now, where's the development?
Where's the development? Now we know what we have, the talent. That's why I said a little bit of this. I'm like, what was the recalibration? Like, we just go throw it all up at the wall and see what sticks. That's what it feels like now. Now that we've been through 2 years of the recalibration, I'm like, we're just going to throw it all up at the wall, see what sticks. You had to go through the I'm okay with the adversity now because I feel like it showed a lot of people's hand.
Mm-hmm. It did. It did.
If you would have never seen that adversity, you would never know what you did. It did not.
Right.
Hey, for real. We saw some stuff. Let's be for real. We saw some stuff in year 1 of this recalibration, but it felt good.
Winning is the best deodorant, as they say. It masks everything.
Yeah, because I told you I would be feeling bad some days. I would be like, oh, I'm the only one in the press conference. Okay, well, all right, coach, I did have some questions for you. Everybody else wanted to be down in the locker room where everybody was cheering. And I'm like, I got questions about these missed tackles. If you don't mind, I know
Yeah.
you won. Congratulations. But I do have the
Right.
list for you. And they just be like, okay, Candy. I'm like, just saying.
Yeah. And I remember you were one of the few people that was like, I'm not comfortable with how much they depended on Jaden to win these games.
I didn't.
You were
like
saying that very early on. I was in my mind, I was like, hey, Candy, man, you tripping. Like, they winning games. What you talking about, girl? And you was like, I'm not comfortable
I don't
with
like
how
this.
much they relying on this man to win games. Like, this is not sustainable. And I'm like, but it's 5 though. He like that. Candy was like, no, you don't understand. And it turned out to be exactly what you said.
Yeah. So I would, and I would be like that. I was negative at times, but I just didn't like it. And I was like, here we go. And I mean, you would have thought I was one of his aunties or sisters or something.
Right.
Last year, I was like, he gonna pass out. He gonna pass out. He can't keep helping these people. Just let him lose. He tired. Look at him. He tired. He never been tired. The boy is gonna get hurt. I was just like, he's gonna. Oh my gosh! And everybody saw that hand too this year with him. That he will put himself. He will absolutely.
Yes, you have to protect him from himself
and everything else in the line of all fires for his team. Like nobody should ever question if he is 10 toes down or not with his teammates for Washington, for the Commanders. He absolutely is. And let's go back to that point of, okay, he's upset with Cliff. Guess what about Cliff? Or you don't want to ever see nobody lose their job, but guess what else? He was also upset when they shut him down for the year.
Yeah.
He all right.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
You gotta protect everybody saw it. That's just how he's wired.
Yeah.
And the one time you said, go ahead, let him play. What happened?
Yeah, right.
That ain't happening again.
Nope.
So what do you do? Yeah, he's upset. Okay, yeah. And everybody knew he was upset. That's why they had to negotiate not putting him on IR. That's what it became.
Right.
It was a you're not putting me on. It was a negotiation. He couldn't put him on
IR. It was a compromise. Like, okay, you're not playing the rest of the year. We won't put you on IR. You can travel with the team. You can still practice, but bro, you're not playing.
And that wasn't necessarily their idea. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, it was his. I got it. He got to do what he got it. He loved
I mean, DQ told us that he was the one that was like, well, y'all not putting me on IR.
Yeah, because he was like, nope. Yeah. So you got to know, Jaden got a little umph to him now. And then at the beginning of the season, remember DQ said, I'm glad I got a year with him so I could get to know him a little bit. Yeah, Jaden, he's spicy now. He gets a little spicy, but you like that spice because he loves what he does. I'm not complaining about the spice. The spice is dope. We want the spice.
Right.
He loves it just that much. Yeah. And everybody should be grateful that this is happening. Right? Because remember, it was, the organization is doing the same thing. The organization doing the same thing. They helping this young man. He is the franchise. He is leading this franchise. Dan Quinn told us last year, we are not trying to set Jaden up for a remarkable game. We are trying to set him up for a remarkable career.
Yep.
So there's a lot of lessons that need to be learned this season by everybody.
That's right.
For everyone. And Louie, you really made me laugh really hard because I was definitely like, nope, I don't like it.
I remember our exchange when we were talking about it, and you was just like, not trying to hear none of that stuff I was talking about. You was like, look, he's really good and I love him, but this is not gonna work if they keep relying on him like this. They cannot keep winning football games if this is the only reason they winning. And I'm like, but he 5. He like that. I'm telling you, like this dude, we ain't seen nothing like this in DC before.
Didn't even care. I wouldn't even care. I'd be like, that's what Lake with him, they would say, I would be the only person mad and still serious after games. They'd be like, hey, he's the only person upset or just really stern and still writing all her questions because I felt like they were on to something. I knew they were on to something, but it still didn't feel real.
Yeah.
I'm like, something isn't right.
Right. Something is off. It's not sustainable. And
Right. It
you
just
were right.
wasn't sustainable.
You were right. All right. So we're gonna take a word, get a word from one of our sponsors, come back on the other side and get to these comments because a lot of questions have piled up.
Okay.
So we'll get a word from our sponsor, come back on the other side, and we'll jump into the comment section. Sleeper. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Sleeper. All right. So shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this stream. Remember, use my promo code LTN to get you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. Sleeper has been handing out a ton of 100% boosts over the last 2 weeks or so. They had 2 more tonight, NBA and college basketball. So if you're not on Sleeper, what are you waiting on? Link is in the description of this video. So let's get to the comment section. There are plenty of comments here for us to get to. Start the night off with Dylan Holiday, been a member for 29 months. Really, truly do appreciate you. Dylan, who writes, just had my 26th birthday on the 6th. Love, Lou. Appreciate you. Happy born day, my guy, man. Happy belated born day. 26 in the books, man, what it would feel like to be 26 again, man. Enjoy the 20s, bro. It is the best time in life. So congratulations, and hopefully you see many, many more birthdays. And look, hopefully this team is able to turn things around and make future birthdays even more. You should be getting ready for a playoff game. You shouldn't be talking about 2 new coordinators, a new offensive line coach. Hopefully they can bless you in the future with better results so you could be getting ready for a playoff game right around your birthday next year, man. Happy born day once again. Marissa Mullinex, thank you for being a member for 18 months. He writes, hi, Louie. Mark said, tell your brother I said hello. He says, what about DQ goes down to DC and John Harbaugh is the head coach and have Miami head coach as the offensive coordinator? So, like, I always think about when so I saw that somebody had a show on ESPN where they basically said Harbaugh would be the perfect hire here. They're not firing. They're not getting rid of DQ. So that's not happening.
Nope.
I always think about, and Jay Gruden had just did something no coach had done since Gibbs 1.0, and that was have 2 back-to-back winning seasons. Now it was 8-7-1 that second year, and we missed the playoffs. And we lost to a Giants team in week 17 that had nothing to play for, so it was even more excruciating. But Gruden had still done something that no one else had done. He went to the playoffs in 15, and then in 16 he went 8-7-1. And we knew McVay was gonna. I didn't think McVay was gonna get a job that quickly. I thought it would be like 1 more year. But Chris Cooley was telling everybody, "Yo, this guy is a savant. Like I've never seen anything like it." And he ended up interviewing with the Rams, got the interview, basically the job on the spot. And people were saying, maybe you need to get rid of Jay Gruden and hire Sean McVay. Don't let this guy leave the building. He's that brilliant. Clearly, we wish we would have listened to those people who were saying that. But in the moment, you couldn't do that, right? You weren't going to do that. It's the same thing here. Like, as much as a lot of fans would love to see them move on from DQ right now and go get a John Harbaugh or someone else of that ilk that may be available, it's not happening. Adam Peters handpicked Dan Quinn to be his guy. He saw what it looked like in San Francisco with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. And that's what he wants his relationship to be, one where there's constant communication, they're in lockstep, and, you know, they do this thing together. And I think he's really hoping that DQ, you know, figures this coordinator thing out so they can win and get back on track. What says you, Candi?
Yeah, I mean, it's just year 2 of them being together, just year 2. I think it was the illuminating of they did not nail the coordinators.
Yeah.
Right, because this isn't a situation where your coordinator's got another head coaching job. You know, even if Coach gets one, that's not what this is.
Right.
That is not what this is at all.
Right.
So, you know, it becomes the Dan Quinn legacy coaching tree. You might be thinking about that, right? And you haven't done it. You have not done it. Not here. If it didn't work out with your coordinators, so they want to try to get they have something special. And when you have the culture piece on lock, you got to get that coordinator thing right. You got to get the opportunity to get that right. But no, he's not. No, they're not going to do that. I would also like to share with you all, with locker room clean out day being on Monday, I did a ton of one-on-ones with players. The end of season interviews were there as well. Many of them, I asked them about Dan Quinn and the culture and what makes him in that locker room and what they've pulled together. Please, I like to say this all the time, and Louie, you just said it amazingly yourself. But you all, please go to Bowie TV on the YouTube channel. We're airing them on TV too this weekend if you're in PG County, and have Comcast channels 190 and 1097. But go on to YouTube, watch all of them. Go to the shorts, go to the videos. It's a cool one that ended up being a group one. And you got to listen to all the things that Von Miller said about Dan Quinn, about he's like, I came and told everybody Von Miller said it. So I'm like, if you don't believe me, believe Von Miller, believe Frankie, believe Javon, believe Chris, believe Jalen, Jordan, Kane, believe all those guys, because Von Miller said it. The rumors about Dan Quinn are true about playing with them.
I love this guy.
And I told everybody else that, because I was not a Dan Quinn advocate. I was not. I distinctly remember being like, I was on my way to Super Bowl Las Vegas when they were having his press conference. Everybody else was changing their flight to make his press conference. I did not. I'm like, Dan Quinn gonna have to wait and meet me. I'm not going. And I just still went. Then combine, I got to his press conference late. I was strolling in there, just I was talking to Ron Rivera. I was just so anti. Now look at me, okay? So but all those weeks, there were folks from Dallas. There were media folks and former players that were from Dallas, from Atlanta, from Seattle. Hey, you cover the Commanders over there? That's how you cover the Commanders. Oh, you gonna love Dan Quinn. Tell me why I'm gonna love Dan Quinn. They were approaching me. I didn't have to go looking for information on Dan Quinn. But I keep saying it. Everybody believed it when they were winning. Now that they lose it and they're out of the playoffs, now no one believes it. So go and listen to what the players are saying. And Von Miller himself, the rumors are true. I can tell you the rumors are true. But if you don't want to believe me, believe the players for the team that you root for, because it's real. And you can't just let him walk out the door. Right now, your two main attractions, when you talk about players wanting to be here, your two main attractions are Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn. Yeah. You need them both.
And I think you hit on something so pertinent, because the fan base has been crashing out based off of the Jordan Schultz report that the players are now disgruntled. And I'm like, again, he doesn't have any information about what's going on inside of the building, okay? And I keep trying to convey that message to them. These players love Dan Quinn. There is no disgruntled, oh, he's gonna lose the locker room. Now if he hires the wrong guy and there are people in that locker room that loved Cliff and thought he was doing a good job, and this next guy comes in here and he's terrible, that's a different story. But to assume that they're going into this next season disgruntled because they moved on from Cliff is asinine. And I'm so glad you brought up the point that these players love Dan Quinn. Like we saw, you can say what you want about the outcome of games. They never stopped playing hard. They just weren't good.
They just weren't good.
They weren't coached well by the coordinators. They weren't set up for success.
No.
We didn't have a good roster. All right. We couldn't afford injuries. We were playing with third string and guys that shouldn't have even been on NFL rosters. But they never stopped playing for Dan Quinn. They always played hard for Dan Quinn. They love Dan Quinn.
They do.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Court Casino. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Court Casino writes, CWall. Given the totality of AP's tenure, draft picks, who he let walk, who he cut, who he kept and paid, who he drafted, and the overall general management of our team, what grade do you give him and why?
Well, I make it simple. Because in the last 2 years, you what? 12-5, 5-12. I think you at 500. I think you're at mediocre, so you can't get higher than a C. I mean, that's just, you know, I'm just gonna do the simple math to make it easy. You can't get higher than a C. And so that's what I'll give them for the 2 years. Like, you can't get higher than a C. I would just give you a C because we cannot act like year one didn't happen. That's what and I got to hold on to that because, you know, we're prisoners of every moment.
Yep.
Right. So we were prisoners in 2024. Now we're prisoners from the 2025 season. Now everything sucks and everything is bad. No, I'm going to give you a C because your record says over the, you know, those 2 years, that's what you get. I think they're 17-17 or whatever. They 500. So you get a C. But with the question about the draft picks, which I'm glad that you asked, year 3 is going to be big, right? So we go to 2024. Again, Jaden's development, huge. Because what can we say about the games he did play and what we did see wasn't all that great. You know, so definitely this is going to be a huge year from him. I'm talking about compared to 2024, right? Because that's all you got. We don't like to compare, but we do. So it's a big jump. Mikey Samerstill, yeah, I think there was a step back, but I think he was also out of position. Right? When he was back the outside, he was better, but that decision should have been made before week 10 or week 11, whatever week that was. That should have never moved him, in my opinion. But okay, right? Then you have Brandon Coleman that you could consider a regression sort of. You know, he started every game at left tackle. You know, he dealt with some injuries in his first year, but then he got beat out of his position. That's what happened. He got beat out of his position. Maybe rightfully so, maybe not. But that is a thing. And it hasn't been a thing, but it's a thing. Okay, because you're starting left tackle, supposed to be your starting left guard. Now he's depth. It's probably not good. Probably a bad sign, right? You're seeing, you know, let's see what happens with Johnny Newton. Let's see what happens because I know everybody, you know, was very impressed with the Dallas game, as was I. My notes were there, but I felt like the Johnny Newton game should have been in Madrid.
Yeah, and then what happened the next week? Everybody was looking to see if he followed up. Just show me something. I didn't even know Johnny played in the final game.
You didn't see anything. You see a bit more Jordan. You see a bit more Jordan McGee. He was dealing with the injury at first. Now that he's been healthy, you definitely see him getting more reps on the defensive side of the ball, and rightfully so. Javonte Jean-Baptiste was getting some action on pass rush, but he got hurt with a torn pec in week 4. So you don't know what you have there. Ben Sinnott. Right? Don't know. And then Dominique Hampton got released. And I always said this back in preseason. I said, is anybody taking note that one of the draft picks got released?
Right.
Okay. So that's not good. But then you look at this year's draft picks, and while they only had 5, I have been impressed. Kane is working his way through based on the reps he's getting with special teams, right? But Josh Connolly Jr., Trey Amos before the injury, Jalen Lane when he could do a punt return, right? When he got the opportunity to do it, because that doesn't happen often. And of course, Bill, right? And all that. They only had 5. I think they made them count. I really do.
Yeah.
And Bill got Pepsi Rookie of the Week. They had 2 rookies that got Pepsi Rookie of the Week multiple times, and that's Jalen Lane and Bill Krosky Merritt. So I think those are still bright spots for me. We know that Josh Conley Jr. was getting dragged for some reason. We ain't gonna get into that though. Back in training camp, he played every single game. And I think he did good. Yes, he got beat sometimes. It's gonna happen.
Right.
But I think from a rookie standpoint, I feel really good about where he is and where he landed at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going. I'm just going 17 and 17. You can't get higher than a C. Now, some of these free agents, I don't know. Laramie Tunsil was good, but other of my colleagues don't feel that way for other reasons.
About Laramie Tunsil?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What?
Because he doesn't do OTAs and stuff like that. And they're like,
man, you don't get out of here with that foolishness.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, but I'm an advocate for Laramie. I think that Debo, it was supposed to be a perfect world, and it wasn't. So when Debo was called upon, I think he definitely had some balls he didn't catch and some turnovers sometimes, but he wasn't supposed to be the one. He wasn't supposed to be wide receiver 1, but when he was called upon, when he could be effective, he absolutely was. I know that some people will always say that Marshawn Lattimore didn't work out. I think he was out of position a few times, but when he came back from being when he was injured, as everybody knows, his first year. But some of those games when you didn't hear his name, that was probably a good reason, You really only heard his name when he had to go up against Mike Evans and AJ Brown, more physical receivers that just gave him problems.
Yeah.
And I mean, the list could go on. But I mean, hey, the free agents, they worked the first year. It worked. The second year, some of them
mixed bag.
Not so much. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Brandon Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Brandon writes, I think the lack of using Bill and Ben Sinnott definitely played a role in Cliff's demise. AP's draft players and Cliff refuses to use them. So what's the sense you get on the report that the whole meddling thing was supposed to be directed at the lack of players that were younger at the end of the season when the season was no longer in the balance? Why aren't some of these younger guys getting an opportunity to showcase their talents?
I think Bill was used quite a bit. He was used a whole lot. I think so. I can speak to this because I really had a problem with Cliff's usage of Bill this season, because clearly Cliff did not love Bill because he would always reference his ability to play without the football. And while he's not wrong, Bill still had a long way to go. He showcased that in week 18. He missed 2 blocks on the same play on a play where he was supposed to block for Josh Johnson, and he whiffed not once but twice. So clearly he has a long ways to go without the ball in his hands, but that's not a reason to not put him on the field. And to take it a step further, because how many times we going to start J-Mac in the game when C-Rod's hurt? Like, what we need to see J-Mac starting for? And J-Mac would be in for the whole first quarter, and then here comes Bill in the second quarter. What point are you trying to make that we can't get Bill on the field more in some of these situations? We get it. J-Mac is a much better pass catcher and a better pass protector. Cool. Put him in on those downs where you're throwing the ball. I know you don't want to be obvious, but at this point, no one cares. If you're like, Bill can be out there, you can hand him the football. We want to see what he can do. And if you keep saying he's not getting better from a pass protecting or pass catching or even route running from out of the backfield, he needs reps. So why don't you put him out on the field? It was bizarre, all of it, because I thought he just wasn't consistent in whatever he was doing. Because there was sometimes with C-Rod wasn't out there either. It was just weird. It was bizarre what he was doing. You couldn't figure. I mean, not that we need to know what he was doing, but it was just not.
No, you said it right. It was bizarre. It was weird.
Yeah,
it had no rhyme or reason to it. It felt like, and then like Ben Sinnott. So okay, the excuse all year was they got a borderline Hall of Fame tight end in front of him in Zach. Yeah, sure. Okay, all right, cool. He gets hurt against Minnesota in week 15. Now what?
Because I was the one I think I was on here. I said it publicly. I said, hey, well, for everybody who wanted to see Ben Sinnott, you will now. Not so much, but you know, hey.
Mm.
But that's definitely what I said because
Yeah, no. You definitely said that.
100%
And then
that.
what happened? Like he got one target against the Giants. It was a big one. It's his biggest catch of his NFL career, but it's one target. He never had more than 3 targets in any of the games down the stretch. And I'm still befuddled. Why are we throwing tight end screens to John Bates?
I'm not sure.
You got Ben Sinnott, you got Colson Yankoff, 2 guys that are clearly way better athletes than John Bates. Why are we throwing tight end screens to John Bates? What's the psychological sense in that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, you still gotta use them unless he just didn't want to for whatever reason, or it just wasn't. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And that's why it goes back to the report about the meddling. Well, is it meddling or is it a genuine suggestion or question?
Right. Yeah.
It's a question. I mean, we all been asking.
Exactly. We all asking the same questions. So
I know I said that. See, I don't like coming out and saying things and then it makes me look crazy when it doesn't happen. So I was like, well, you'll get Ben Sinnott now. All right. And I'm like, now I just went out here and told everybody that they're gonna see Ben Sinnott. So they think I know something that I just made an assumption, but okay, I was wrong. I don't know why he's not out there.
Yeah, we can't. It doesn't make any sense. It didn't make sense and it still doesn't. Derek B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou listening to Candi, quote, Derek B was right. Damn. hey, a broken clock is right twice a day. So, hey, shout out to my guy, Derek B, for being right. If we go back and forth all the time and you make some points, and I always can say about you, Derek B, you play devil's advocate like nobody else, like nobody's business, man. So anytime I'm thinking about it from this perspective, you're always thinking about it from that perspective. I may not agree with that perspective, but at least it forces me to look at it from a different lens. So that's where you come in. You always provide context to a situation, or at least a different layer. So go ahead, take your lap. Candi's here, and you were right. So,
what was he right about? Which one?
So we've had different conversations about a number of different things, and we go back and forth all the time. And it could be so many different things. So one of the things I'll say this, and I want your opinion on this because you'll break the tie. So he was adamant. So my stance was that they went all in, and all in looks different for every situation. This wasn't because year one went a way that nobody expected it to go, and it wasn't supposed to go that way, but it did. Right.
Right.
So they kind of had a knee-jerk reaction. Like I told you, my new favorite quote is, success is a distraction from the process. So they were distracted last offseason from the success of 2024, which is the right thing to do. You want to capitalize. Another quote that I love is attack success, right? So you had success in 24. Okay, attack it. Go out and do something to give you a chance to get over the top. And so they went all in with the mindset of, we're not trying to mortgage the future. We want to go in all in responsibly, right? So last year you saw them go get a bunch of veteran players, 1-year deals, guys that could help them potentially get over the hump, assuming that everybody stayed healthy from the year before, which was a big mistake, and assuming that Jaden was going to be as magical as he was the year before. And obviously that didn't happen. Assuming that everything else that went well in 2024 would go well again. Now let's fill in all of the gaps that hurt us, that didn't allow us to get over the top, that stopped us from being able to compete with Philadelphia. So that looked like getting Dietrich Wise on a 1-year deal. That looked like getting Von Miller and bringing him in on a 1-year deal. That looked like, okay, we lost Dante Fowler Jr. Let's go get Jacob Martin to be our Dante Fowler Jr. this year. All right, that looked like getting Eddie Goldman because we can't stop the run, right? So let's get some beef. Go get Eddie Goldman on a 1-year deal, right? And so a bunch of these little 1-year deals. Let's go get Debo, right? That's a 1-year rental. He can help us on offense. We didn't have another guy opposite of Terry. So you go get all these, not to mention you trade for Laramie Tunsil, you trade for Marshawn Lattimore, which happened last year, but now he's supposed to be fully healthy. So in my mind, I said, Will Harris was supposed to be, a net positive, maybe just a net wash of Jeremy Chin. I think we could all argue that wasn't the case, but whatever the case may be, they went in responsibly. They went out and got all these guys that they thought would help put them over the top, because we saw Houston do the same thing the year prior, but they really they went and got Stephon Diggs. They went and got Danielle Hunter. They went and got Joe Mixon. They went and got all these guys that they thought were going to help push them over the top. They were big names, and they paid them good money to do that. Adam Peters wasn't looking to do that.
No.
And so that was his way of going all in. Bunch of veterans, 1-year deals, guys that are going to help fortify positions that hurt us. And Derek B's response to that was, that's not all in. That's not what all in looks like. All in looks like you go out here and you go get big names. You spend money. Like his thing was the Patriots went out and they spent money. We had money last offseason, just like the Patriots did. We had money, but they spent theirs. You see where they are right now. That was his counter to that. They spent their money wisely, and look where they are now. And we wanted to penny pinch. We went shopping on the discount rack, and look where we ended up. So we didn't go all in. We could have signed Stephon Diggs. Again, he doesn't fit the commander standard or the commander tag. No. Right? So they're not going to do that. But
I'm not laughing at you.
No. I know why you're laughing, and you should be laughing, because that's correct. That's the correct response, is to laugh, because that's factual. You know why he doesn't fit the commander.
Right. Exactly. I was like, right.
So, but our fans don't care. Remember, we had this conversation before. I made it into a short where we talked about. I said, Candi, you said it again tonight. The culture is important.
It is.
Our fans don't care about the culture. And I keep trying to explain to them that while you don't care about the culture, it is important, because you can't just bring anybody in here. Now, I'm of the mindset, though, you can go find some talented guys that aren't bad people. They just need to have the right support system around them. Okay? Stephon Diggs is probably not a good guy. You don't want him. He's probably a great locker room teammate, but off the field, he's probably not the guy. We've seen instances of why. We've heard stories about him too, before he even got drafted here, as to why he didn't get drafted here. He's a wild boy, right? So, okay, cool. You don't want that kind of guy in your locker room, maybe influencing other teammates, whatever. Okay, but there's guys that are for instance, a Jalen Carter in Philadelphia. I don't know if he's a bad guy per se, but he needs to have the right infrastructure.
For sure.
He's a hell of a football player. And if you can harness that, you have something. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing I don't know if they'll go get those guys. But back to Derek B. He basically said that wasn't all in. What the Patriots did, what the Texans did last year, what the Patriots did this year is more so. And not necessarily, Patriots didn't win last year and then go out and get out. They spent the money, and that's what he wanted Adam Peters to do, spend the money. What do you think about the all-in conversation from last offseason? Do you think that, because I feel like there's different definitions of all-in, because all-in can look like that was all in on a budget, basically. And Derek B's response is they didn't need to be on a budget. We had money. We weren't broke. He decided to be on a budget. But he didn't want to mortgage the future either. He wants to stay flexible cap-wise, and I get that. What's your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't consider it all in necessarily either, but what reason did they have to go all in? You were a game away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody had agreed to stay together. So, you made a change at wide receiver. You got Laramie Tunsil. To your point, Marshawn was going to be healthy. You drafted Trey Amos. Now, I will say some of the development of some of the draft picks, I think, is what has been in question. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I do believe that some of these draft picks should have been more of an active contributor than they have been, if you get what I'm saying. Mm. You know what I mean? Which would make a difference in some cases, not all at all. You know, I'm not saying that any of those would be like, but you take them into consideration. You take the depth pieces that you do have. You take the moves that you did make, and you figure, I think they really was like, we were a game away. Mm-hmm. You were, you know, but in that game, though, you were still like light years away, in my opinion.
See, I think that's where
a lot of people think that that's not the case, because Jaden was great that game. You know, the defense,
he was,
but Jaden, that game wasn't on Jaden. You know, and Terry was good. You know, they had some key fumbles, right? Yeah. You know, they had turnovers. They had a lot of turnovers that game.
The turnovers, the officiating was terrible that game.
The officiating was bad. It was
so look, there are a number of things that
it felt like the fix was in. Like the Commanders were not supposed to go to
win that game.
They were not supposed to win the game.
Yeah.
So I think they felt like they were way closer than what they were. That's what I think. I think everybody.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
They thought they were just like a piece here, piece there.
Right.
See what we got. Let's see this. Right. Let's see that. Let's get these, these rookies. Let's get them up because it'll be year 2 for them.
Yep.
Remember, they didn't even move in the draft. Right. They didn't do anything to try to get more draft picks. They stuck with their 5.
Yep.
They were all in on their 5. They said they got calls too. Remember, Adam Peters?
Well, we were told. Adam Peters told us he got a call, and we know one of the teams that called him. It was Philadelphia.
Well, yeah, you're right, because that was on the thing, right?
Yes, exactly. It was Philadelphia, and he was like, "No, we gonna stick and pick." And then he got another call in the second round, and he did "We gonna stay and pick." Steve, he did the Family Feud thing. So we know he got a call in the first round, and he got a call in the second round.
Yeah, they got good sense of humor, but
yes, that was actually very funny. That was really
very funny. And so, yeah, I mean, I think they thought they had it.
Yeah.
And they were wrong.
Yes.
They were wrong. I mean, they could have just asked me. I'd have been like, no.
You would have told them.
I'd have told them, like, just pick me.
Yeah.
And I'd have just been like, yeah, you lucked up a lot. And see, because I take those things into consideration. Other people don't. They're like, we won the game. I'm like, well, you did, but not convincingly.
Yeah.
And I felt like, and I think the injuries completely just threw them for a loop.
It did. It threw all of us for a loop.
Everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, no one could foreshadow the carnage that was coming to this roster. No. I thought Adam Peters did a great job of explaining, because someone had brought up the correlation between 2019, 2020, and 21 for the 49ers when he was there, to 24, 25, and potentially 26. And he's like, I hope it's like that, because they went back to the NFC Championship game that next year after having that year. And he's did an
excellent job explaining that.
Yeah. Because I remember that season very vividly. And I remember that game against the Jets early in the season. It might have been like week 4. They lost like 5 or 6 dudes on that turf in MetLife. And their season was pretty much cooked after that. And that was Green Bay for us. He was like, that's basically week 2 for us. Like, so much changed that night from Dietrich Wise to Austin Eckler to Jaden to Noah Brown. Like, all of those dudes went down in that game, and everything
like 4, 5. Because I think Jonathan Jones got hurt that game.
Yeah, he did too. Absolutely, he sure did. And we didn't see him for about a month and a half after that. So yeah, it was that night was rough. That night was rough.
It was bad. I didn't. Yeah, that felt bad. It felt. I felt like the omen was there. I was like, and here we are.
Yeah. Corin Smith, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Corin writes, "Sup, Lou? Sup, Corin? Candy, pleasure hearing from you, as always." I second that. He says, "We know what went wrong. Why was it missed going into year 25, and why? Why was DQ hoping for the same luck?"
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
Pretty much. Yeah. And that's what she literally just said that. Like, that's crazy. She could.
Dang, I should have brought my picture. One day I'm gonna post it. My New England
You've
picture.
been saying that for the
I've been
longest
saying it
time.
for the longest time because that picture was taken what, August the 4th, the 5th.
Yeah, it was right after the Patriots joint practice.
But everybody was mad because wasn't nobody talking about joint practice, and I was like, "What do you want people to say?" Like,
right. It was bad. Like, what you want us to say? I was like, "I want you to tell us the truth, Candi." She was like, "You can't handle the truth."
It was literally like, he's not understanding me, but it's like, you can't handle. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Oh man,
I was like, oh, you'll see it for yourself. You're seeing.
Now I wish you would have told us to warn us of the impending doom that was 2025, because you had the sauce. You knew the entire time, and we had to find out the hard way. You saw it firsthand.
If you all are following me on Twitter, I'm gonna post a picture and I'm gonna be like, no lie. I'm gonna tag you, Louie, or something, and be like, I sent this picture around to people that I do shows with. Like, everybody was asking the same question. I don't even know what happened. I don't know what happened that day, because that was the day that I thought that. This is how rumors get started. I think when you and I were talking and someone else was talking, I thought that you all were saying that Patriots media was saying something about Commanders media. I took my shoes. I already had my shoes off in the press box, and I was like, "Oh, who said something? Let me go down here and find out who over here talking about."
We was about to start a war.
And then left my phone, got back to my phone, and I found out that's not what happened. I was like, oh, dang, now I got to go down here and apologize because I thought, my bad. But everybody was on edge. Like, what if we watched?
That day was crazy because the fans were going nuts because we weren't getting any feedback whatsoever from any Commanders. It's like y'all went dark. It's like they told y'all don't post nothing, don't say nothing. And all the Patriots beat writers were posting updates. That's where we were getting all our updates from. And like, we were starving for anything. I'm talking about, it didn't matter. It could have been a pass breakup. It could have been one-on-one drills. It could have been 7-on. Like, we were starving for anything and all the Patriot content. So we were getting it from their perspective. So they could have been telling us something incorrect. Like, one dude said that it was Jaden Daniels that threw this pass, and it was Josh Johnson. Like, so we were having to live with that kind of analysis because y'all won't giving us nothing. So
all we were doing was like, oh, Jason Tatum is
y'all was posting about John Bon Jovi and Jason Tatum. He was hot. Oh, we was so hot. And I was like, Candi, why y'all ain't say nothing? She was like, it won't nothing to say. I said, Candi, yes, it was. Like, the Patriots beat reporters was talking. She was like, trust me, it was nothing to say. What you want us to say? I said, tell us the truth. She was like, y'all don't want this. Y'all trust me, y'all don't want what we got to say. And it wasn't just the whole
beat. Nobody was saying
the entire beat for the Commanders went dark.
And everybody was there, literally, for the joint practice. Everybody wasn't there for the game, but all of us were there for practice. And we definitely had a moment of, because some of us like split up, and then it was like a moment of, is your Wi-Fi working? And we were like, yeah. Are you just not posting anything because are you making a choice? Like, I just started asking, like, it was like we met in the middle for some reason. I was like, are you making, everybody Wi-Fi working? Are we making a choice not to say anything? And they were like, I don't know what to say. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But I think what really sent everybody over the top was, but we got them John Bon Jovi posts and we got them Jason Tatum pictures though. And that's when everybody was sent over the edge. Like, we don't care about no Jason Tatum. We don't care about no John Bon Jovi. We want to see what's going on. And
I wasn't helping this situation at all. I was like, well, I did get to see my boy Antonio Gibson.
Yeah. You was just throwing fuel on the fire. Like, it was funny, man. It was funny. Now looking back on it, it's hilarious. I mean, it was funny to me in the moment, but it's even funnier now because then emotions were kind of running high because Candi was like, look, Like Candy was getting mad. Like, wait, hold on a second. Like, I'm like, well, hold on. I don't have any beef. I'm not looking for any trouble. I'm just telling you what the fans out here saying. Like, so it was crazy. It was
like, you get mad. I was getting mad because I was like, as soon
yeah.
as you say something negative, then the fan base is like, you're so negative.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about it. You're gonna see for yourself.
Exactly. I'm not gonna say nothing. You're gonna find out when you find out.
Find out when you find out. And
boy, did they ever, and boy, did we ever.
Listen, like I asked Coach Quinn during the season, like, hey, Coach, you were mad in New England.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've been mad all season. And I think I might have told him, like, I don't even know what question I'm trying to ask you, but I think what I'm trying to say is, like, nothing's changed.
Yeah. I remember that question.
Yeah.
It started out like you were mad in New England and you've been mad a lot this season. And then you finally was like, has anything changed? Like, what is, what has changed since then?
Nothing.
And he really ain't have nothing for you either. He was just like, I wish I could give you an answer. I think he hit us with one of those obligatory. We're diving in and we're digging in hard to try to figure it out. Like if we had an answer, Candy, we clearly wouldn't be.
Yep, it was one of those. And I'm like, all right, man, because like, the question made sense in my head, but then when I started saying it, I was like,
when it came out, it was like, damn, man, that ain't the way I really wanted that to come off. But I mean, you get it, right? You get it, right? You get what I'm trying to say, right?
This not going well.
Base for Zion, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Right, so we about to be a violent offense now. No more cute shit except for a trickery play. Traditional pro style downhill football dominates the sport. No cute football. So this is a guy that has been adamant. He's been trying to fire Cliff. He's been trying to fire Cliff for a long time. So he had a party yesterday, but he is adamant that smash mouth football is the way to go in the NFL. It's timeless, it's true, tried, and it is a style of football that will never ever be irrelevant. And I agree with him to the point that it's a part of football. But you don't win games based off of a dominant run game anymore. Yeah,
it's gonna work here and there, but you got to know who you playing. It's not gonna last you a lifetime.
Yeah, you got to throw the football in this league.
You got to throw it, but it's got to be that balance. That balance has got to be there.
It's got to be in your bag. You got the thing this year is, for whatever reason, we didn't seem to be able to, and I think a lot of it fell on Cliff, because my biggest complaint of Scott Turner was situational football. Scott Turner, I actually thought he was a pretty solid play caller. His problem was he didn't get the ball to his best players. I remember they would ask him questions at the press conference, and Scott Turner would be like, "Oh, Terry only got 4 targets. I didn't know that." Like, really? Your best player? You didn't know he only had 4 targets? Interesting. Okay, cool. That's why you're awful, right? And he didn't, like 4th and 1, he'd throw a pass. He just never it never like I remember that first year. I know I'm going on a tangent, but first year we had Peyton Barber, and he was a 4th and 3rd and short dynamo. That year, Peyton Barber was 18 of 18 in 3rd or 4th and short, 4th and 1 situations that year. He did not miss in 2020. And I remember the Steelers game. We got down there to the 1-yard line, and we were on the 1, and he threw it 4 straight times. And on 4th down, TJ Watt had a holding penalty on the running back out of the backfield, was J.D. McKissick. And it gave us a fresh set of downs. We were screaming the whole time, "Run the ball with Peyton Barber." The first play on the fresh set of downs after the TJ Watt penalty on 4th down, he ran it with Peyton Barber. They scored a touchdown. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And that's how I would feel about Cliff.
Yeah.
Like, it's the Chiefs game. You get an 8-yard pass on 1st down. We moving. I'm talking about this drive. It's bing, bang, boom. Then you get an 8-yard pass. You're in Chiefs territory. It's 2nd and 2. You throw a no game pass to Zach Ertz on 2nd down. Okay, fine. Whatever. Because you got 3rd down. And you got 4th down if you need it. You throw a wide receiver screen to Debo for 1 yard. It's now 4th and 1. And I'm like, he gonna run it this time though, right? No. Marcus Mariota throws a 30-yard pass to nobody out of bounds on 4th down. And it's the same thing in Minnesota. You get down there with an 8-yard Chris Rodriguez run down to the 2-yard line. And mind you, Chris Rodriguez is averaging over 7 yards a carry in the first half of this game, by the way. And Bill is averaging over 5 yards a carry, by the way, in this game. But no, we're going to throw it to Brandon Coleman on 2nd down. Right, that pissed so many people off, by the way, that you're trying to throw the ball, actively trying to throw the ball to the tackle instead of running it. But okay, you still got 3rd and 4th down. He's going to run it one of these times, right? No, he's going to do a bootleg, throw it away. And then on 4th down, and again, had this worked, had Debo just caught the ball.
You could have caught it, yeah.
You know, but still, it's that kind of neglect that people go, for me, his situational awareness is just not what you need it to be for a coordinator. So base for Zion wants smash mouth. It needs to be in your bag. You need to have that.
Got to be there.
Capability, right? You got to be able to tap into that. But it ain't 1992 no more, bro. Like,
yeah, it's gonna give you some time. I mean, you got to look at. I mean, for this year, because it changes every year. It seems like the teams that are doing it very well right now. When you look at that complimentary, just everything. You know, you look at Seattle and Houston. You know, they in a bag right now. You know what I'm saying? On just that compliment, like even on an offense perspective, they're just maximizing and doing what they do well, but based on beating your defense. Like they're going to get the ball as much as they possibly can. They really are.
That's the 2 best defenses in football.
Yeah,
and as good as CJ Stroud is, they really don't ask much of CJ Stroud or Sam Darnold, right?
They don't. They keep it simple. They keep it, and it's not a bunch of trickery, like you said. And Sam Darnold ain't never been that dude anyway. It's just been, you know, as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
If you can keep it simple for either of them, and that's what they're doing, and they're just connecting, and they're just doing plays that work based on who they're playing. You know, it don't have to be a whole lot. You know, it doesn't have to be a whole lot. Now, you go to, even though they're out of it, you know, I'll go back to the Ravens Green Bay game.
Yep, Derrick Henry.
If this dude, and you talk to him and say, you gonna run this ball 35 times, you got it, you good? Yeah.
I got it.
You know, they can't stop him. Yep. And there were so many times, though, that everybody was hollering for Tom Monken to run the football. He would not
do it. Like, a great example of it, because I literally, it's funny you brought him up, because I brought him up earlier when Base for Zion was talking, and I said, smash mouth football still works to a degree, but I said, look at Baltimore. They at home right now, right? I said, Derrick Henry just put on a performance for the ages on a Saturday night in Green Bay. It was cold as hell.
Yeah,
Derrick Henry had over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. That still works, you know.
It still works.
But you ain't gonna do it every week. But the problem with Baltimore was, like, and this it reminds me a lot of Cliff. He had this fascination with Keaton Mitchell. Like, you in the 4th quarter of I gotta win this game against New England. Derrick Henry is killing the Patriots. And you got Keaton Mitchell in the game?
Yeah.
And I remember Chris Collinsworth saying, if I were the Patriots, I would send the Ravens a Christmas card for not putting Derrick Henry in the game right now. Because you are absolutely saving the Patriots, because they cannot stop Derrick Henry. And you're putting Keaton Mitchell in the game. Yeah,
and it's like, did you outsmart yourself? Like, ooh, I bet you they don't know what we.
I bet you they won't see this one coming.
Man. Are you serious? No, I mean, and that's no shade to Keaton Mitchell, but what I'm just saying is,
right? No,
put Derrick Henry in there. You insane?
Exactly. It's the same thing as, oh, Cliff was like, oh, they ain't gonna be looking for Brandon Coleman tackle eligible. Catching this pass when it's
Bet you they don't know this gonna happen.
They ain't gonna see this one coming, boy. Like, come on, bro. Stop. Just
don't do this.
Do the thing. Right. Like, just do the thing that is obvious until they stop it. So
I was so mad. I couldn't even think. It took me 5 minutes to get myself together because see, when things like that happen, especially when I'm an advocate for a person, I'm like, all right. I think I asked the question, like, but I don't think it was after that game. I don't even know which one. It happened so many times. But it was a home game. So it must have been the Eagles. I don't know. Had to have been the Eagles. And I was trying to ask Coach Quinn when they, are they using any analytics at all when they're trying to make a determination, especially when they get down to the goal line, if they're going to go with a run play or a pass play? And he just said it for me. What are you talking about? The first play of the game? Are you talking about the first? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about after the fumble. They forced the fumble, got down there, and they ended up having to settle for the field goal.
Yes. Yeah. Because I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. What are you doing?
And he just said it for me. But when he started doing stuff like that, let me say this about Coach Quinn. I'm learning from him. When he did that, I was like, oh, he getting tired of that too.
Yeah.
Because he's like, are you talking about the very first series of the game?
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Because he probably was thinking the same damn thing. Like,
right.
Run the ball there.
Right.
Like,
but see, I be trying not to put people out there. I was like, do you? I try to find a nice way to say it.
Yeah.
But he said it. And I was like, yes. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, well,
It was absolutely pass interference on
Traylon.
Yeah, Traylon Burks. That was clearly pass interference, but they didn't call it. But yeah, again, why not run the ball?
Just run the ball.
Just run the ball, bro. Like,
run the ball.
Seriously, just run the ball. But yeah, that's Cliff for you. Mr. Deacon, sir. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I agree, Candy. It was times I felt DQ and AP didn't meddle enough and gave too much autonomy. I get collabing, but sometimes it gets to a point.
Yeah, I mean, I would be like, that's why when when it was all, I'm like, what? And here I am, because I'm there, like, I would actually like to see somebody walk down the sideline and be like, excuse me, hey, like, what I mean? What is? I don't understand, and that wasn't happening. That was not happening. And again, words matter. Is it meddling or was it making a suggestion? Is it asking a question? Well, have you considered, a little bit more balance between the run and the pass? Can you consider, because that stuff matters when it comes to time of possession as well, of course, right? The defense just got off the field, which never really happens. They just got off the field. You got to back out there. Like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, it happened all the time, man. They just were getting off the field after giving up a touchdown.
Exactly. Back on.
It's like back on the field again.
I'm like, y'all just went 3 and out. All I did was go and get me a Diet Pepsi. How we get here? We already out here.
Didn't take much.
And so, I mean, and that's a fair ask. Like, hey, what about extending, building in some plays where it extends it some more so the defense isn't just out there gassed when you have the personnel to do it. I think that's the other part that with that report was, okay, well, what are you meddling about? Because let's not act like players were being maximized to their full extent.
Right.
And all not act like that was happening, because we all know it wasn't. Cliff publicly said it himself last Thursday.
Right.
So, yes, thank you for agreeing, because I was like, well, here I am. I thought they didn't meddle enough. I was meddling. I know I was. Like, hey, let me see if I can catch in this hallway, because I know what I'm saying. And I just want to ask. Make sure it's not just me. So,
we love it.
If somebody would have walked around and said, if somebody in there didn't need to mind her business, it's me. Her, if they say it was a her or she, it is a my bad.
You got me in here snorting. Stop. Marissa Mullinex.
My fault. I'm just trying to help.
Greatly appreciate you.
People are upset, and I'm trying to figure out how to help.
She says, "Hey, Candi. Hey, girl. I love your hair and I love your questions to DQ and stuff."
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I really, really appreciate that. I really tried. And here we are laughing about moments where I'm like, it sounded right in my head. And then when I said it, I was like, that didn't come
Look.
out right. But I do appreciate it. Thank you for the compliment on my hair as well.
Yeah,
So
the
thank
hair
you.
is herring for sure. Brandon Davis. I always tell Candi she do a great job, so she already know that's how I feel.
Yes, you
So.
do. Thank you, Louie. I appreciate that.
Brandon Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "How does Ben St. Juste and Emmanuel Forbes play better defense than ours? On a better defense than ours?" I mean, they play on teams that are better coached than ours. It's not hard. Like, they play on two defenses that have coaches that I could easily see becoming head coaches in this league within the next 2 years on the defensive side of the football.
Easy.
So it's not hard. Like, if you have the right coaches, you can maximize a player. Like, don't put Benjamin St. Juste in situation. Benjamin St. Juste is a corner that if you put him in certain situations, like Benjamin St. Juste will try to come up and press, but he's not fast enough to press. And he's very handsy. So what do? You play him in off man because he's not a zone corner. So you play him in off man, right? So you have him press, but don't actually touch the corner or the receiver and press and bail. Get out of there so he can stay in phase with the receiver, stay on top of him. And he's been doing a good job of that this year. And they play a lot of zone in LA with the Chargers, and a lot of times zone converts to man anyway. And he's been doing a pretty good job. And as far as Forbes is concerned, I just think he needed confidence. I think he lacked confidence. They never instilled confidence in him here. Everybody just kept telling him what he wasn't doing. And it was just a bad situation because I don't think he was ever supposed to be drafted where he was drafted. And I always feel like the biggest mistake you can make when you draft a player higher, because it's not like he couldn't play. It's just the only thing I love talking about this every year with the draft, because I think this is what people get confused. These players can play. The only thing that separates a second round pick from a fourth round pick or a third round pick from a sixth round pick is where you're selected.
Yep.
Because all that does is put expectations on you. That's the only difference. If Max Crosby was drafted top 5, we say, shit, Max Crosby's a top 5 pick. But Max Crosby was drafted in the third round. But guess what? Max Crosby played like a top 5 pick.
Yep.
Right? And so the expectation of Max Crosby wasn't through the roof. He was a third round pick. Right?
Yeah.
If Fedarian Mathis had been drafted in the 6th round, he might still be in Washington right now. But Fedarian Mathis was drafted in the 2nd round. So there are 2nd round expectations that come with a 2nd round pick.
Yep.
And we can equate that to guys that are here now. If Ben Sinnott were drafted in the 6th or the 5th or the 6th round, we wouldn't be having these discussions about Ben Sinnott.
Exactly.
He was drafted in the 2nd round, so we got 2nd round expectations for Ben Sinnott. So Forbes was really, I think, a 2nd round corner.
Yeah.
And they took him in the 1st round. So now you got 1st round expectations for a dude who wasn't ready to live up to those expectations.
Right.
So it's unfortunate because I see the confidence from him now in LA. He just needed to go somewhere where somebody believed in him.
Yep. And I mean, that's one of the things actually DQ said about when they released him and they were like, a change of scenery helps people. And it does.
Yeah.
And look, I want to share this with you all. This is the social media age. So people do see what folks say about them.
Yes, they do.
They absolutely see it.
Quan Martin deactivated his social media after his first preseason game of his NFL career because they were killing him.
Yep.
Especially the young players. They are on social media all the time. I'm surprised because Bobby Wagner be on social media. He jumped in somebody's DM. He was like, "That ain't my play." Did you see that?
Yeah, I somebody showed it to me, but
I was like, Bob, don't do that, Bob. Don't do that. Don't engage, Bob. He was like, "That ain't my play. That wasn't me." Like, don't argue with them. You can't win, bro.
Sometimes it's either them or somebody that runs their account. You just got to be careful because people see, and if it's not family members check, they check. And that's all I'm gonna say. They check. And so, and because I'll be honest, they check. Because that's one of your requirements. You have to go. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They check. They see where I am. I'm on their notifications. Just
oh yeah, they know what's being said. Trust and believe,
especially from those of us that are on the beat. And I get a little caught up sometimes. Yeah, sure. And if somebody got something they want to say, they will. You know what I mean? And I have experienced that, and I just be like, you know what I mean? It is
what you want me to say? What you want me to do?
It is a conversation, but it ain't no beef because they know I'm cool. I mean, you can have a stand-up conversation with me, and it's no problem. Because I'm not necessarily saying anything that's wrong.
I'm about to say you don't never say nothing out of pocket though.
I don't never say anything out of pocket, and I don't never say nothing that's incorrect. And I'm clear on that, and it's just. But I'm also mindful because I know that they're on there. As much as people like to say that they're not,
of course, that's the convenient thing to say. It's the politically correct to say. Oh yeah, I don't be hearing what they be saying. Yeah, right.
Nah, they on there because even if they see something I do, they see somebody. Oh, I see you get up there. I'm with her. Oh. Yeah, I had to get a little nasty with somebody. That's what happened. You can't do that. I did it.
See, you got me snorting again.
I mean, I'll tell y'all, it was like, look, I was about to be on the whole internet wrecking everything over Marshawn Lattimore. And I will tell y'all this, the conversation is a true conversation. I had to go to Marshawn and be like, the internet is going to ruin me because I'm going to go. And he literally said, I can't have you doing that.
Yeah.
I respect it. He was like, but I don't want you. Don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it. You can't.
Shout out to him for doing that. Too.
Yeah, I appreciated him doing that. And I was like, because I do it. I get tired. He was just like, nope. Nah, you can't. You can't do that. Nobody can do it. Just leave it alone. Like it is what it is. You got to keep scrolling. And I'm like, or he said, or get off. And I'm like, well, look at this. Marshawn Lattimore's giving me some advice.
Exactly.
Either I'm down bad or
that's. Look, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I must be down real bad.
Of all people to be telling you, hey, don't do that, Candi.
Don't do that, Candi.
Nah, you got to use some discretion here. Hold
on.
Don't turn up. Like of all people, it's Marshawn telling you, nah, don't.
I'm over here. We talking about this because I'm thinking I'm gonna get a green light. You talking about?
Yeah. Nah, don't do that.
I was like,
because he more of the type like, it's because you on social media. What you gonna do, right? Like you can't win. If it was in person, he might be like, "Yeah, turn up." You know what I'm saying? But you what you gonna do, right? So
he was like, "I got major respect for you. Like you good, you good in my book all day, all the time." He was like, "But you can't do that.
You can't do that." That's hilarious, actually.
Of all the people,
the people,
I must be down bad. Let me go home.
Yeah. It's time to clock out at that point.
Try again tomorrow.
Try again tomorrow. Ain't no lie. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes? DQ was hired late in the cycle. Who should he have taken instead of Cliff Kingsbury? Weren't his choices kind of limited?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can't. I'm gonna be honest. This is another thing that makes it so complicated. Because sometimes people are available, they choose not to come for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? They choose to stay where they are or whatever, And you're never going to find out everybody they interviewed. Does that make sense? Or everybody they talk to. because there are certain clauses. Some people don't want people to know, or they don't want, you know, the leaks come out based on who wants the leak to go out.
Right.
That's how leaks operate. It's very strategic. It's who they want people based on knowing. A lot of these coaches at every level have agents. Right. So they, you know, it's not just players that have agents. There are some players, you know, that represent themselves. There's some players that have agents. Same thing with coaches. There's some coaches that have agents. Some coaches represent themselves. And sometimes it's strategic of letting people know, or they just don't care. You know, it's like when players either get drafted or like roster cut down, when we find out stuff from their agents, you know, who's been released, who's going to go here, there, everywhere. It's the same kind of thing. It's very strategic. So I don't know. But I'm not saying Cliff was a bad for early years development. You know, I think it was fine, but long term,
he was hired. He was the last coach to be hired during that cycle, so he didn't get hired later. It probably wasn't the amount of coaches that you would usually have to pick from if you got hired earlier in the cycle, but you know, you make do with the situation, you know what I mean? And as a coach, and I will say this to Candy's point too, but coaches know when they get hired, like they already have in mind what they want to do, who they want to hire, who they want to bring with them. Like they didn't get hired and just like, okay, what am I going to do? Like they already are prepared, because when you go into these interviews, you tell them your whole plan. You lay out for them what your vision is for this job. If I get hired, this is who I plan on bringing with me. This is my offensive coordinator. This is who I plan to bring in as my defensive coordinator, et cetera, et cetera. And then, you know, you try to go out and execute those things. Dallas blocked a few guys that he wanted to bring with him. He wanted to bring Al Harris with him. Dallas was like, no, the hell, he is not going with you. But he tried to bring Al Harris with him.
Right.
And so there was a lot of guys that they were rumored to be interested in. I remember I got a little nervous because they was talking that Chip Kelly shit. Initially, I was like, no, you will not bring him here. And then that's when Cliff came in, and I guess at that time he saved us. I was happy that it was Cliff and not Cliff Kingsbury, Chip Kelly.
That was a wild off season too. Yeah, that's true. But I also wanted to remind you, just made me think of something. Don't forget the very important point that some requests or interviews and all that stuff has to wait anyway. Like to your point, you're exactly right. Conversations are always happening. Don't think that people are like it's like nobody's talking. People are always talking. But some people, you mentioned Al Harris, and it made me think about it because Chicago, you know, they're, you know, playoffs, all that stuff. Right. Yep. So some people like formal interviews and all that kind of stuff. For any of these folks, it has to wait anyway.
Yep.
Until they lose.
Yep.
So
I know they did something different this offseason.
Right.
They changed some of the rules, but like you said, you can do like these little informal Zoom, you know, conversations with somebody, but you really want to get them in your building, or you want to come out to them. You want to sit down in front of them, get the energy and the vibe, and then have a real interview with these guys. And they're still locked into where they are, trying to help the team win where they are right now. So it's crazy because Clint Kubiak, he got the #1 seed, so he's got a bye week. I think he's already had like 5 requests for head coaching, you know, interviews. And again, it's just a matter of timing sometimes as well.
Timing.
So. Burgundy Fly Guy, I always get excited when I see a comment from you, my guy. Oh my God. Every time I see your logo, I always get excited because you were one of the guys that I came in the game with, man. And it's always so good to hear from you, man. So shout out to my guy, Burgundy Fly Guy. And I still use from time to time your line. It's a classic line. Well, you come here and the admission is free, where we don't always agree, but the admission is free. So I always still use that. Shout out to my guy, Burgundy Fly Guy, man. Salute to you, man. I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. He writes, Happy New Year, family. Enjoyed listening to your channel all this last season. I need to see this team pull off a very strong draft in preseason development. Keep up the outstanding work. Much love, man. It's just good to hear from you, my guy. So shout out to you. And yes, this is a massive offseason for all parties involved. We can't stress that enough. If this offseason doesn't go off without a hitch, there could be some very stiff repercussions next offseason. And we could very well find ourselves in this same boat, but instead of talking about offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, we talking about all of it, including head coach as well next offseason. So this is a big one for DQ because this is his last shot. Like, who are we fooling? Like, this is it for him. If this doesn't work, he's not getting another head coaching job, and he knows that, which is why I think he did what he did yesterday.
Yeah, it had to be done. It had to be done. I mean, you got to, hey, listen, what is one of the things, one of the questions was, will he fire somebody that he loyal to? Will he this, will he that? Hey, listen, loyalty is the gift of the curse. You got to learn how to be loyal to yourself.
That's right. Absolutely.
And it is what it is. And it's not like Joe Witt Jr. did a good job. Right? I mean, we can't all confidently look at one another and say, this person did a great job. This person did a great job. No, they did not. Nope, and no. And so, no. And it stinks. It sucks. But like, yeah, they got to nail it. And this is so like, nobody's going to be more stressed out than them. Right. But with all of the different coaching changes and all the different things, it's like, oh my God, like this is just so, and it can only be one Super Bowl champion. And you look at teams like a Detroit who fired their offensive coordinator because who knows what can happen even with Dan Campbell, right? If they're not successful again next year, even in Minnesota, they got some decisions to make. Is JJ McCarthy it? Is there, because they had a good defense, but look, they sitting at home too.
That's right.
Like the Commanders. And they were, a 1 seed last year. I mean, there are teams that are attractive, very attractive for different reasons that are in the same boat as the Commanders. I keep saying this is another big topic, and I feel like this storyline is flying under the radar when we talk about coaching destinations and just all the changes. The Kansas City Chiefs did not make the playoffs, and they were out of it before Patrick Mahomes got hurt. I mean, he got hurt.
They were cooked already.
Right? They were done.
Yep.
But that is a historic staple in the playoffs that are not in it. So that is another. So it's like it's so much of the competition of who do players want to play for? Who do coaches want to coach with? That's why everybody's like, Dan Quinn, hey, you better keep him because he's an attraction. People like him more than they do some of the other coaches that I named. I'm just being honest, right? But there's other things in there that are you need to consider, like you got a very low margin of error. Okay, whoever comes in here, you do not have time to mess around. You must execute every year you're here. Every year. And you cannot lean on injuries. Not happening. So it's so much of those types of things. And with John, and then Baltimore is now available. Right? Baltimore is available. Vegas with the first round, the first number 1 pick is available. The Browns are available. And then it's Cleveland, but they still got something attractive about them, right?
Yeah,
because there's a lot you can do with Shador, right? There's a lot you can do. You got Myles Garrett.
That defense is good.
That defense is good. There's so much other things to consider.
They had an excellent the linebacker from UCLA. I forget the second round pick. He was awesome.
Exactly. So you still got the Giants, Doug Handy, Jackson Dart, and then they're also saying to look out for different teams this weekend that may have a first round exit. They already talk about these teams might be fired.
Yeah, Tomlin and in Buffalo with Sean McDermott.
It's definitely a different. I can't even call it chess because I'm like, this is just a mess because Arizona's got, they got, it's wild. It is wild. And oh, by the way, there are 3 teams that got their head coach, but for some reason they want John Harbaugh. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That weren't even in one of those teams is I do know one of them are the Miami
Dolphins. Right.
And that's all public news now. But hey, look,
that's what happens. You don't got no GM, so all bets are off.
All bets are off. You do what you want, and especially if you are dealing in a situation where you have a young quarterback or you looking for a quarterback, then that means the head coach can come in there and pick who they want. Those types of situations are very attractive. To new coaches or those looking for another coaching gig or to be promoted into a coordinator role or to a coaching role. So I'm like, yeah, I feel like Dan Quinn had to do it, but I'm like, in this cycle, oh my goodness, it's so many opportunities out there. It's not like Washington is the only desirable one. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're desirable, and you got to lean on what the stakeholder group that you need to attract. You got to lean on what the attractions are. But there's some competition. There's some competition out there for some very good landing spots.
Did you hear what Jonathan Jones said?
No. What?
I'm gonna read you his tweet that he had yesterday. I want your opinion on this. Let me pull it up real quick. He said this when all of the things were going on yesterday.
Wait a minute, which Jonathan Jones?
So this is Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports.
Okay, all right, because I'll be wired. Like you talk about the corner.
Yeah. You thought no. Not the cornerback, Jonathan.
Okay,
Jones.
I'm like, hold on. What?
No.
Okay, all right, we back.
All right, so he said, and he put this out on X yesterday. Just got off the phone with one coaching agent who said the Commanders may get a better coach at OC than one of these teams with the vacancy gets as a head coach.
Hey, listen to me. I know people don't want to hear the Dan Quinn thing. They don't want to hear it because everybody mad at DQ right now, okay? Everybody upset with him. But I know if you don't believe me, go on Bowie TV and go and find that group interview. You can go look at all of them. But listen to Von Miller. Listen to him. Because if you don't believe me, believe Von Miller, please. And he said the rumors about Dan Quinn are true. The man is an attraction to work with. I would guarantee you that's the real reason why Cliff upset. I would bet my check. That is one of the reasons why he is really upset, because he liked it here and he really liked working with Dan. He did. Everybody does.
Right.
And so his feelings are probably, I know he hurt. He loves Jaden. Jaden loved him. They all love each other. They had a good time together, and we had a good time too, even media. Cliff was cool. And you hate it when it don't work out. But somebody else, is going to want to take Cliff's spot.
Yep.
With no problem.
With none whatsoever. I'm so glad you said that again, because the fan base needs to hear that.
Yeah, I know everybody's mad at Dan. I mean, it's been some days that I've been like, what is he doing? I think he had been upset with me one day. I was like, well, did he know? Did he hear something I said? Because I did say. I have said
I did say.
Yeah. It might have been this. It could have been that. Yeah. I mean, he's pushed back on me in recent weeks, and he's even had to be like, well, you know what, Candi, that is a fair question. Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's when you know you got him. When he hit you with, that's a fair question.
I mean, it's rough. And so, but that's my pal. And I'm like, man, this look bad. Yeah. Because at first I went from feeling remorseful, and feeling bad for him, to being like, look, man, what are you saying in this headset?
Yeah, what's going on in there?
Are you talking in there? Is anybody saying anything? I'm sorry. It's funny, but it's not funny.
It's funny. No, you said it right the first time. It's funny. Shout out to my guy, Burgundy Fly Guy, man. BFG. Hey, well, we don't always agree, but the admission here is free. To my guy, man. Shout out. Good to hear from you. Tony P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Tony P writes, not trying to be a jerk, but it's PTSD. tell me you not watching without actually telling me you not watching. Because if you watching and you locked in, then you know what PDSD is. Okay. PDSD is post Dan Snyder disorder. Okay. So you're not locked in. You just showed up. You just came back in and you ain't been locked in. And you my guy. So I'm shocked that you didn't know what the terminology was. But we're going to hip you to the game. PDSD is a commander's term. A LouieTeeNetwork commander's term. Either you get it or you don't. So we know it's actually PTSD. Thank you very much. But we have our own. Okay. So glad they parted ways early in this process rather than wait. Love you, Candi.
Love you too.
Absolutely.
But you do got to get that PDSD.
Yes. Hey, you got to get it right.
Get it right. So you got to get it right too.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you gotta learn. You gotta teach the youth of America. I know he's not a young guy per se, but we gotta school everybody to let them know what the vernacular is around these parts. So look, I always tell people on the road to recovery, the first step is to admit that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn just admitted that there was a problem.
Yep, he did.
Now let's see if they can find the solutions and get this thing moving in the right direction. They got to find their compass. They got to find their north, recalibrate. Yeah. Let's see if they can do that. They've taken the first step in doing that. So ain't no lie. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Who writes, as a white guy with fair skin, I guess I missed my chance to get one of those Cliff Kingsbury sun hats.
You better go get one now. Now that's funny. Now that's funny right there because that hat was genius. Get my skip online now because that hat was dope. You know what? Now I'm upset. Now I'm mad because I forgot. No more.
Hey, Cliff was serious about them hats, boy.
Listen, he helped me pick out my hat because he was like, well, I would give you this one. He was like, but can you wear command? You can't wear commander's gear. I was like, no, I can't, but I wear the lanyard. I said, that's because y'all gave me the lanyard. He was like, but I don't think you can wear the hat. I was like, right. He helped me pick out a hat. Now listen, he's good for advice.
Yeah.
You gotta get that drawstring because they were tired of seeing my hat fly off when the wind would start blowing. My hat would fly clean off my head. They would be like, get a drawstring, girl. Like, what's wrong with you?
Look at that blessing. Look at that.
He was so cool. He's cool. I like him a lot.
Hey, ain't no lie says gotta strike while the iron's hot, man. You missed it. You missed it.
You gotta talk the heck. It's the little thing.
Hey, I love it. Ain't no lie. He said, I missed my shot, man. Damn.
Yeah.
Oh man. Tony P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Who writes? Yeah, I missed that. It's all good, man. We miss things sometimes, man. Says thanks for the clarification. Hey, now you know, right? So I forgot. I think it was when I was a kid growing up, NBC would have The More You Know, and it would be this little star shooting across the screen. Right? Now you know, right? The more you know. So that was the last comment. And we covered a lot tonight.
We did.
And it's amazing that we got here and we dibbled and dabbled with what was said at the press conference, but we really didn't even get to that. And that was going to be the basis of a lot of the conversation. But so much, as you mentioned at the top of this show, some 2 hours and 48 minutes ago, that so much has happened in the last 48 hours. Oh my goodness. And so it is really kind of taken this fan base by storm. I mean, so many varying opinions all over the spectrum, Candi, from what I just told you, Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports said, to Dan Orlovsky said on ESPN. And I'm not a big ESPN, talking head guy, but he said basically that the biggest offseason move of any team, and I think this might have been before Harbaugh got fired.
It was before Harbaugh. Yeah, it was.
Before Harbaugh got fired. But he said, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Basically, he said that the biggest move of the offseason isn't any of these head coaching vacancies that will be filled. It is who's going to be the next offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders to coach Jaden Daniels. And I just said, wow, that is like huge. But it just puts it into perspective of the magnitude of this position and what it means for the future of Jaden Daniels.
Yes. And it also speaks to the magnitude of what he did his rookie year.
That's right.
Like, that young man has the weight of the world on his shoulders because the world is absolutely watching him. I wasn't imagining anything. I think when you and I first met, I was like talking you through, like combine week and owners meetings when people were like, oh my gosh, or like Super Bowl week. I was so, if the Commanders had gone to the Super Bowl, I would have gone, but I'm normally at Super Bowl week and because I go and I work it, but with the way the season went, I was like, I need to go lay down. But so many people who thought I was there because I'm normally there hit me up and they're like, oh, I just ran into Jaden Daniels. Oh, are you here? And I'm like, no, I'm actually not. And they're like, oh my gosh. Oh, he's a dreamboat. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. I mean, I just all week long, I was not even there on the prim, but all week, people were just like, oh my God, it must be so amazing. I mean, yes, before Harbaugh got fired. But to my earlier point of, I'm like, well, Detroit got some decisions to make. They were the number 1 seed last year, and they didn't make the playoffs. And Minnesota got some decisions to make because now their rookie hasn't really worked out, or not their rookie, but
their second year quarterback
at all. IR, then continue with the injuries. Now they got to watch Sam Darnold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just comparing to everybody else because there's other situations going on around here, guys. But for some reason, it's just locked in on Washington. And it is because of Jaden Daniels. This young man, he's got it. He's got all of the it factor, all of the next face of this league. It's him. It is him. He is him. And it didn't work out this year. It didn't work out at all. And I mean, this team was people's pick to go to the Super Bowl.
It was our pick to go to the Super Bowl, not yours. I'm talking about fans, right? Fans like myself, not me and you, but
look,
mine.
Y'all. Now, look, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be like this.
No.
But I was definitely like, look, listen.
We both said that this team would take a step back record-wise, but it would be a better team.
Absolutely.
And then we thought it would still make the playoffs.
Yep. Totally. It was all good a year ago. I think I told you the story when I made a joke last year that a little too many people heard me say when I walked in the locker room. And I was like, remember when on Monday it would be locker room clean out day? And it was like, who cleaning out their locker on Monday? Wait a minute, hold on. Do y'all want to fight? Because wait, I feel like I need an opportunity to clear
clarify what I was trying to say.
What I'm saying. Yeah. Nobody's cleaning out their locker on Monday, all right? But in years past, you would be.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because ain't nobody cleaning their locker on Monday. Okay, all right. Everybody calm down.
Right. Exactly.
Calm.
Right.
It's gracious. I was like, wow. Ugh.
Well, they were clearing them out this year, though.
Yeah, you clean them out this year. Y'all was in attendance this year. You gone. But I could tell that but I could tell it was like, I don't think it hit everybody until Monday. That's what I'll say. So the attitude of we got a game and we getting ready for the game and we gonna be where our feet are, we gonna deal with. They were really that way. Because I think on Monday they was like, oh, clean out our locker. Yep.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I guess they were locked in like DQ was, because I'm like, y'all been knew y'all was cleaning out y'all locker on January the.
But it's just
4th.
Check out my one-on-one with Frankie for locker room clean out, because he actually conveyed the way I feel about locker room clean out. I hate locker room clean out day. It sucks. And I play a game on my show called What's Your One Word? And so I played that game with him. And he, shared his one word and everything, not to be a spoiler alert, but he talked about just locker room clean out. Like the day the team is never the same people ever.
Right.
And just some guys don't know if they're gonna still be playing or what they're gonna be doing, for various reasons. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's a sad day. It wasn't like last year's sad day, because last year was after the NFC Championship game loss, and it was super emotional in there. I was like,
yeah, I'm not. That had to be
hoping it wasn't gonna be like that. Like the turn, and I love the Lord and everything, but turn off this gospel music.
Yeah. They ain't had a gospel music pumping out the speakers,
last year. Absolutely.
Oh no! What in the world?
I ain't gonna tell you who was playing it. But it was somebody was playing.
Oh, not the gospel music.
They was playing gospel music, and I was like, "Turn this off." Like I was literally like,
we fall down, but we get up.
And that was one of the songs. It was too much. I was like, okay, I got to take a walk.
Oh no, they was playing gospel music.
Because Darrell, the Boy TV videographer, was like, "Where did you go?" I said,
"Oh no,
together." Like, what is wrong with it? Like, why would they be doing? Why is everybody like this?
No.
It's not the end of the world. I was like, it acting like it's the end of the world, and it was. I might tell Louie later who it was, but that gospel music turned this
Lord
off.
have mercy. I'm done. Not the gospel music.
That's crazy. Off. I mean,
you ain't tell me that one. That was the first time I heard that. No, that's the first time.
I mean, it's always difficult, but this year I was kind of like, I'll see guys, whatever. But I was like, I'm about to cry. I don't like this.
Yeah,
and you always have touching conversations with people that make you, I'm a cool person. I'm empathetic. So, it's always nice. But they NFC Championship loss, they were sad after that.
Yeah, that's different. That's different.
Yeah, they was real sad after that.
Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. All right, CWall, who's your dream coordinators?
I don't even. I just, me and Louie. So
let's do it. You on the offensive side or the defensive side? Let's get it.
At this point, let's just flip a coin. Whoever wins coin toss. Oh my God. I don't know the likelihood of it ever happening. I mean, if it was dream, it ain't gonna happen. But you said a dream, so this is not gonna happen. I don't think. It would be Mike McDaniel and Brian Flores. But they both are head coaches, and they both should be head coaches. But it would be Mike McDaniel and Brian Flores. Easy. Yeah. Raheem Morris, I would gladly. But he's got head coaching opportunities. So, I like Robert Saleh as well. But if he's gonna stay in 49ers, or go get him a head coaching job.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, those are all great.
I would want Mike McDonald as a defense coordinator, but he ain't leaving Seattle. He's a head coach. So
right. I'm not the biggest Raheem Morris fan, but all of those are solid choices. It feels like it's gonna be that kind of guy. It's got to be somebody.
It's got to be somebody that's, because even like I'll go back to Cliff. Some people just aren't head coaches, and that's okay.
That's okay. Right.
That's not. Hey, look, it's fine.
Yep.
Some people should be coordinators.
Yep.
Being the leader or the culture setter is not all that is cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people are not made to be head coaches and leaders. And that's cool.
Yeah.
Play your role.
Exactly. I mean, it's got to be something that would be like a splash, like, oh my God.
I think we might get that on offense. I don't think we're getting that on defense.
Yeah, it might be kind of quiet on defense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a ho-hum hire, and that's cool too. That's cool too.
Yeah, I would also wouldn't mind, giving a shot to somebody that's like an Al Harris, right? Or somebody that's coming up the ranks, but they gotta be on that type of time.
I don't think DQ is in a position to give a dude who ain't never done it before an opportunity to do it. So
well, he tried that. It didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. And I don't think he's going to go down that route again, knowing what's on the line this upcoming season. So it feels like it's going to be more of a veteran who's done this before that can come in here and hopefully steady the ship. It's crazy because I feel like if you want an ideal situation, this is why I always advocate for an offensive-minded coach to come in when you know you're drafting a young quarterback, so you don't have to worry about that carousel of offensive coordinators. Like the Patriots have a perfect setup. They got a defensive-minded head coach, but they hired a offensive coordinator that ain't never, ever getting another head coaching job, and Josh McDaniels. So he ain't going nowhere, so you got a guy that you can marry with Drake May for the next decade, right? Because he ain't going nowhere as long as he don't.
That's what I was thinking about Mike McDaniel. That's why I was like, okay, but the Dolphins didn't fire him, but now
with Jim Harbaugh,
now they might. And if I'm him, and I know that this report is true, I'm bouncing.
Mm-hmm. He said, I'm a continue to be the coach until they tell me I'm not. So he ain't gonna quit. He ain't going nowhere until they tell him to pack his things and go.
That's something he would do. That's something he would do.
And everybody feels like if he came here, I mean, if he got fired and he didn't get a head coaching job, which I think if he gets fired, I think he's going to get another head coaching job. I think one of these teams, like Miami or one of these teams, or Tennessee, one of these teams with a young quarterback that they just drafted.
Tennessee.
I could see him going and getting another job.
I mean, anyone with these young, I'm telling you, there's some attraction there for sure with these young, but here, Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, like you said, Shador, whatever they're gonna do in Cleveland, the Raiders with their number one pick, whatever they're gonna do, whatever they need a quarterback or already have a young quarterback, it is a dream opportunity, like for real.
Yeah, and I really believe that as much as we would love to see him make a beeline to come join his old buddy DQ, I don't think that's happening because he's gonna get a head coaching gig.
Yeah, he'll get one. Yeah, there's like dream opportunity, like dream team sort of deal, but
nah, I'm with you on that. He would be the first dude I would want here as the offensive coordinator. So
easy.
Yeah. All right, so that is gonna do it for us. We really appreciate y'all.
Somebody said Atlanta. Yes. How could I forget Atlanta? Yes, Atlanta is a dream opportunity. They did Raheem Morris wrong. Michael Penix ain't bad. I mean, he gonna come off injury.
His third knee injury, like
I thought it was the second one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the third time he's torn his ACL. So I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. Atlanta's cool. That defense is good. They're young. They got a lot of good stuff on that.
Got a lot of good pieces. Offensive, I like
offensive too. But it just quarterback. You just gotta figure that out. And if Michael Penix is the answer or not, can he stay healthy, etc. So Candi, thank you so much for the time. As always, we really truly do appreciate you and all that you've done for this channel this year, man. It's been phenomenal. As I always tell people, I've got most of the links to all of Candi's various whereabouts down in the description of this video and every video that she's done with me this year. But as always, Candi, please tell the people where they can find all of your work, your excellent, extraordinary work.
Well, Louie, thank you. Thank you for having me. This year started out, of course, we all had high hopes and we all had to watch this train wreck together.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
And so I appreciate you having me on. I've had a lot of fun doing this and meeting all of your subscribers. So it's super dope. You guys are super dope. And we'll just see what happens. But you all can follow me on X at CWall SE. Make sure you are subscribed to Bowie TV on all platforms, either Bowie TV or Bowie TV Sports. My real name is Candi Waller, so I'm on all platforms as well, or under CEO CWall. As Coach Prime says, I ain't hard to find. Trust me, so you can find me on any platform. Again, if you are in the Prince George's County, Maryland area and have not cut your cable, you can find Bowie TV on Comcast channels 190 and 1097. As I've been sharing, and as you all now know, it will be busy. It will be a busy off season, a critical off season for the Washington Commanders. My plan is to be returning to Super Bowl week to work that week because I'll have some rest now. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of talk about the Commanders, not like it was last year. So I'll probably be working a lot that week. And because we cover the Ravens as well, I'm sure we'll just be busy that week. And then we'll be on site for Combine, which admittedly, I will tell y'all, I went to Combine last year. But because Dan Quinn and Adam Peters can do no wrong, I didn't care. I was chilling. Really, I was just there to talk to them and, you know, like schmooze and network.
It's gonna hit different this year.
I was like, oh, whoever they pick with their 5 picks, they'll be just fine.
Right. It was the honeymoon phase. It was the honeymoon phase.
It was a honeymoon phase, real bad. I was just going to like their stuff and wasn't doing any other work. I wasn't working at all. Would be like, you just coming out for the day? It's 5 p.m. We've been out here since 8 a.m.
You was like one of them people who claim they coming out for work, but it's like kind of leisure, and you was just chilling. Like you was working. Like it reminds me of my mom. My mom was supposed to be coming to help us when we first had the twins. She was supposed to be coming to help us watch the twins. She was on vacation. She was sitting down. I was like, Mom, can you help us with the kids? Can you wash the dishes? Can you do some stuff? She's sitting in the chair on her tablet, eating cookies and chilling. I'm like, you ain't on vacation. You're supposed to be helping us.
Yeah.
This Candi was out at the Combine just having a good old time.
Yeah, I was at the Combine. Yeah. I was in Starbucks. It's you probably, I think you said you've heard about this, like Starbucks.
Yeah,
like,
Mr. Starbucks.
Oh yeah. I would be like getting up late. I wouldn't even go. I would go to the media room. I wouldn't go to any media availability. I'd be like the only one sitting in this big room and just going and being nosy, eating people's sandwiches. I was just like, whatever. I was living a dream. I was doing shows because people were so like, oh, Commanders media. Can we talk to you real quick about what it's like to cover Jaden Daniels? Sure. Let's go meet in Starbucks. I was just doing shows all day and talking to everybody about Jaden and the season and the difference in the cultures and all that. I was chilling. I would really be working this year. Thanks a lot.
I'm about to say, it's going to be different this year. The vibe is gonna be a lot different this year.
It's a mess. Owners meetings, we will be at owners meetings. I was chilling there too. I was like, oh, we got to go meet with somebody. Okay, all right, I'll go to that too. But now it's got to be like super duper calculated in how we move because they did such a 180. Surprisingly. So but you know, I go there too, and I go and enjoy talking to other people. You know, I like to see. And so this year I'll have to really be nosy and go talk to like I use that time to go talk to other people in the division, across the division. And then since the schedule won't be out, but we know who they'll be.
The opponents are,
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be nosy.
But like you said, man, the league is crazy right now.
The league is crazy right now. This is insanity. This is just different. This is different. And Baltimore really, they did a number on everybody when they fired John.
Yeah, that was shocking. I had literally just done a video saying that they weren't going to fire him and it would be crazy if they fired him and that so many teams would be interested if they moved on from him. And then like 3 hours later, they moved on from him. And I was like,
we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it. Like, I was just like, wait, what? Because in the morning, they weren't supposed to fire him. He was not supposed to get fired.
Yeah.
He was not. And what turned into a little what everybody thought was an agree to disagree turned into a
either you do this or we got to do that.
Yeah.
The ultimatum was given and he made his decision. So
I was like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right.
Almost 2 decades. Like, what do you even do? And that'll be interesting as well, because I know there was a lot of talk about like with Lamar and his contract and all this, and I'm just like, okay. Yeah. So Bowie TV will be very, very busy.
It will be popping for sure.
It's gonna be popping for sure. Yes.
All right, so that's gonna do it for us. This has been a blast this year. Thank you so much to Candi, Bowie TV for supporting this endeavor all year long. It has been tremendous, and we look forward to chopping it up with you in the future, Candi. Best of luck to you this off season. May you get some rest where you can, because obviously there's still a lot going on, but enjoy the playoff football like the rest of us will, and make sure that everything that you do, you stay safe, you stay healthy, and that all of these different endeavors you are successful in. I can't thank you enough, and I look forward to seeing your work. You do a tremendous job, as I've told you so many times, covering the team, and we look forward to seeing what you do and have in store for us in the future. Until next time, that's going to do it for CWall Wednesdays. You guys have a good one. Take care. God bless, and good night. Off-season disconnect. We out.